Forgetting Asheville is an actual play Chronicles of Darkness podcast set in the fictional New England town of Asheville. We're all friends, we're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. Content warnings can be found in the show notes. We've talked at our table about safety, comfort, and consent, both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect, we're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same, so listener discretion is advised. Now let's forget our troubles. Welcome to Forgetting Asheville. I'm your host and storyteller, Rob. Path of Night and the ongoing story of Britta, Johnny, Miles, Neil, and Wynn, with Lex in the storyteller's seat, will continue soon. In the meantime, we'll be playing within the Chronicles of Darkness, a warped reflection of a world very much like our own. Through a stained and broken looking glass, we are faced with the dark reflection of reality, a modern world of gothic horror where the vast majority of the populace lives out their day-to-day lives unaware that beneath the reality they see lies a darker, more dangerous world. A world of creatures that stalk the night, haunting them and protecting them. A world of the dead, of ghosts and predators and things that prowl alleys and crawl from the shadows. A world of spirit and thought, where vivid dreams and ancient nightmares are made real. A world of beauty and chaos, where desire and fear become inseparable. A world of wonder and horror hidden from the unaware by a cosmic order beyond their ability to comprehend. In the town of Asheville, most people know nothing beyond their day-to-day lives. Poverty, depression, exhaustion, they're so overwhelming on their own that even if they could know, would they care? Asheville is a dying town. Once the pride of the region, the Starkweather Tool Factory was the #1 source of specialty die-cast tools for most of the eastern seaboard. Founded by the Starkweather family nearly 100 years ago, the town grew around the factory and prospered. Workers flocked to the jobs here, looking to live the American dream. Tidy houses, white picket fences, well-kept yards. Kids could play safely in the streets, and the only real mischief to be found was when the high schoolers would run off to go skinny dipping at the quarry or somebody fudged their score during the Toolmaker Union's weekly bowling tournament. That's how the old-timers speak of the old days anyhow. But that was decades ago now. The massive federal interstate project that took off in the 60s cut the state in half, and the western half, and Asheville, no longer had the access they once did. Shipping the tools, the lifeblood of the town, was no longer feasible. Competitors cropped up closer to the trucking lanes, the Starkweather jobs dried up, and the layoffs began. Within a decade, Asheville went from a prosperous slice of Americana to a broken town. With the lack of work, the town began to fall rapidly into disrepair. Despair rose, and with it rose alcoholism, drugs, domestic abuse. Now the town is barely hanging on. A few specialty tools, the only thing that Starkweather even makes anymore. The school building is in disrepair, the education system underfunded and broken. The town's sole police officer is on loan from the state as part of a resident trooper program. The only restaurant in town is a couple of oil fryers attached to the 2-lane bowling alley, and it only stays in business because it has a long-expired liquor license that nobody's bothered to update. But not everyone has given up on Asheville. Not everyone has accepted that things are no longer the way they used to be. And some people, some very few, are awake to the realities of the world around them, haunting as they may be. And so we begin our story in a small bedroom of a small apartment above a pawn shop in town, one that caters to the desperate while trying to hang on to those last threads of human kindness that become so frayed in a town like Asheville. And as the sounds of machinery permeate his dreams, a young man wakes from a fitful sleep.
I roll up, sitting on the couch, and kind of run my fingers through my hair and gather my thoughts. And while I'm listening to the static drilling noise coming from downstairs, I took a quick look out the window and survey the apartment, sort of just making sure that all of me is all the way back. And I get up, I stretch, and for the bathroom, check my reflection, and kind of subconsciously check my pulse. I wipe some of the old makeup out of my eyes, and I actually just kind of head straight downstairs and kind of give like a knock on the door before opening it. Hey, Ernie, everything okay?
Your uncle looking, he's been looking thinner and thinner recently. And he's sitting on a stool behind the counter in the pawn shop. And is sort of bent over. And he's got one of those little, it's almost like a dental tool, like those little whining drill polishers. And he's just going over the side of somebody apparently in the last couple of days traded in like a wedding ring or something. And he's just trying to polish it up and make everything look good. And does not have really like the good equipment to do that with, so he's probably scratching the shit out of it, but trying to make it work. And he looks over at you, the morally hanging out of the side of his mouth, and just goes, "Hi, oh morning, John. Yeah, I'm feeling I'm feeling okay. Everything's fine. How you doing? I didn't wake you, did I?
No, of course not.
It's getting late.
I'm gonna make some breakfast. Are you hungry? Have you eaten?
No to both those questions.
Kinda.
He like gives like a little chuckle, but then it devolves into coughs again.
I lean on the counter, which you're not supposed to do, and these the silver rings that I keep on me kind of click against it. All right, so why don't I take care of that for you?
No. I got.
You're coughing again.
I got a man with a purpose stays on his feet. And I got a purpose right now. I'm going to do this. And, John, I don't really feel like laying down because, a man without a purpose don't stay on his feet. And it's like one of those weird uncle afro, like he just has said a million times that by this point is basically meaningless. But he says it anyways and just kind of hunches back over. And as he bends his head, you can count the vertebrae in his neck. He's getting real thin. There's some eggs in the there's some eggs in the fridge. So go ahead and make some of those up. I got some toast. I think the bread's still good. Unless you want something a little more substantial, there's some. You grab some money out of the register. You can go out and get yourself something. You gotta eat.
Unless you're offering to go for food, I'm probably just fine cooking.
Hey, your mom stopped by.
I kind of like, my body language goes stiff.
He nods his head over towards the corner of the store where there are a couple of political lawn signs. He has not put them out. They are just very clearly leaning against one of the walls. And it just across the top says Taggert for mayor. She wants she said it don't look so good if a family's not putting the signs out for her. So I figured I'd let you know.
And there's no way she's gonna let things not look good.
Well, it's a special election, so I don't know. That's what she says anyways. I ain't coming around till November, but getting them out early and,
What do you want done with the signs? We don't need to put them up.
I don't know if I'm willing to have this fight. I'm too tired for it. It ain't that big a deal. I don't. You know him well enough. He does not want to put him up. Mostly because he knows you don't want to. But he's also real fucking tired. And he's not willing to fight your mom on something that's so petty. You also know that that's how she wins every single time.
Well, if we put him up, at least she won't come back. At least not for a while. So I'm gonna go put him up.
I'm hoping by the time she wants to do photo ops, I look like too much shit and she leaves me out of it. And he chuckles to himself a little bit in that same dark humor that a man who knows he's dying always tends to get.
I don't laugh, and I head over to the counter. I collect the signs. With a little bell chime, I open that front door, and I am going in like jeans and like wrinkled up band t-shirt. I'm gonna go ahead and plug those signs down in the lawn.
As you leave the door, as the door opens and the chime sounds, as you pick them up, you get that same staticky feeling of like drilling and the clink of metal and keys that is so familiar to you, that you've felt around town, that you always just associate instinctively with the workings of your mother. And as you step out the door, Ernie looks up, goes, "Hey, it's first weekend of August. You gonna do? You need to see people, bud.
I see you all the time.
I ain't nobody for a man your age to be hanging out with. You need to see people. I know after everything that happened, I know it. Well, I know it messed you up real good, but you can't let that isolate you forever. I ain't gonna be around for." He just kind of lets the thought drop, and the door swings closed behind you.
I know, man. And I'll plug the signs in, and when I go outside, and I'm going to press the signs into the ground and actually kind of have a little bit of a look around the property.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm looking to do is see if there is a bit of sacred geometry in action. I want to know if it looks like she is specifically plugging signs down in a pattern, or if she's just trying to be as pervasive as possible.
Go ahead and make me roll.
Okay. I'm going to spend a point of willpower on this.
All right. You get +3 dice.
1 success.
1 success. With 1 success, she's very clearly putting these down in a pattern. You can't quite discern the meaning behind the pattern, and without an exceptional success, there's nothing beyond that. But what she is doing deliberately.
So this is like the groundwork for a ritual.
This is the groundwork for something. Yes.
Okay. I'll head back inside. Hey, Ernie, what day is it?
It's a Saturday. What do you mean?
Okay. So what is that, today that everyone's going to be in town?
What do you mean everyone's going to be
The
in
meeting.
town? What meeting?
You said I was supposed to go hang out with...
I was encouraging you to reach out to your friends. Isn't that the weekend that everybody used to get together before?
Yeah.
It's been a bit.
It is. I don't really know how I'm going to break, I don't know, that ice people build up over time, but...
You want my advice?
Yeah.
Just go. Most people, when they're afraid to break the ice like that, most people, when they got all that baggage from a long time, they... It's hard because they're embarrassed and they're scared. But if you just soak up the worst thing that happens is they spit in your face, then, it ain't so bad. You just go and say, "Hey, sorry it's been a while."
Hey, sorry it's been a while. Okay. Yeah, I guess if it goes terrible, I'll just come back.
I mean, it can't get much worse than that shitty place. You got enough money to get your own place. Why do you want to stick around here?
I was going to hang out with you.
He nods, and he's pretty clear. Like, he knows, and he almost For a minute, you get the sense that he wishes he was dead because he's tired of being an anchor around your neck, and that's how he sees himself. But he turns back and starts arranging the jewelry he was poorly polishing in the little glass display case right in front of himself.
I kind of give a look, like deciding if I want to draw attention to it, and it's gonna, I like wrap an arm around him and give him a hug.
He hugs you back.
I'm gonna go out tonight.
Good for you.
And I'll head up.
Jesse, as has been often happening recently, you find yourself wandering into the part of Union Park Forest outside of town where you were so often told by your Uncle Hank not to go. It's been a few years now. There's never been signs of what happened, of where he went, and your search for clues, your search for answers, your search for help keeps leading you back to this same area. As you approach, you get right to the edge of the ring where nothing seems to grow in this old-growth New England forest, and in the middle, you see the tall, dead form of what is known locally as the hanging tree, and that dark, hollow space right in the middle.
Jesse stands right outside of that circle and kind of looks down and notices how vibrant the growth is on that circle and how it just kind of ends, and reflects that it's like almost like a weird, huge fairy circle, right?
Yeah, kind of.
The size of it, though, is concerning, right? Like, it's probably, like a good 40 feet till you get to the tree in the middle. So it's almost like a 80 to 100 foot clearing at that point.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And it is almost like that. It's almost like a border that was created intentionally to keep things on this side and the other side from going near it.
Jesse kind of paces along the edge of the circle for a little bit. He's pretty athletically built. He's not super tall and imposing. He's only about 5'9", maybe 5'10", but he's got that widery kind of athletic build. He's got shaggy, kind of mousy brown hair. It looks like he may have slept on it wrong, but for some reason still looks just like he intended it that way. He's got these very piercing amber eyes, and the clothes he wears looks like they were picked out of some kind of crazy vintage bin. A oversized white t-shirt with the red lettering that says "Say No to Drogs." It's obviously a misprint from a "Say No to Drugs" t-shirt. He's got a pair of brightly colored sneakers on. To be perfectly honest, he's a little bit out of place looking in the forest. He's just absolutely garishly dressed. His strong jaw's got the hints of a little bit of stubble, and his mouth always seems to be open and kind of like as if he's about to bite something. And one of his canines is always kind of exposed. And he's got this one little gap between that canine and the rest of his teeth, just on that right side. And he's always kind of licking that tooth. After pacing for a while, he smells the air.
The scent of that old growth, the scent of the forest, that earthy mushroom smell of the natural decay that sits beneath your feet. All the usual smells of the forest are here. But the smell coming from the hollow within the middle of the hanging tree is changed. It smells like new growth. It smells like like floral blossoms, and in that same way where to canine senses, to lupine senses, it would smell, the best way to put it is interesting. Like there's something in there. There are answers in there, but you know on an instinctual level and through the warnings of Uncle Hank that to go in there is death.
He goes to take a step into the clearing and then stops. His foot actually kind of hanging over that patch of ground. But he pulls it back and kind of keeps himself outside of the clearing, crouches down, and then kind of opens his eyes a little bit wider and pushes his senses through the physical realm and peers into the Hesile. What's on this other side of this place? What's in the shadow?
In the shadow, the usual sights and sounds and smells are apparent. There are spirits of the pines around you, some old spirits of oak, spirits of the tiny motes of the smallest spirits float through the air like clouds of gnats. The Hesile is, as you are well aware, an alien place of ideas and spirits of all sorts of things. You see, walking on the other side of the clearing, but not in the circle, that massive form of a stag, but with its flesh rotting, worms and maggots and flies eating at it, mushrooms growing up its side and across its antlers, birds picking at it, the familiar, off-putting form of the spirit known as Carrion Feast. And as if sensing you're looking at it, for just that moment, it looks across the clearing with you, at you with contempt, and then puts its head down and walks further into the forest. The interesting thing that you notice is the only spirits that seem to dance around the hanging tree, that seem to exist in the area, are spirits of ideas, not so much spirits of nature. Ideas like confusion, some small spirits of death, and the spirit of the hanging tree itself. Everything else seems to give the area a wide berth, as it is not in their nature to approach such a place.
Jesse frowns a little bit. Clearly, he looks like he thinks he's out of his depth here, but then kind of sets his jaw, stands up from the crouch he was in, and enters into the circle. While he does this, he keeps his senses peering into the Hesile to see for any reaction there as his physical form approaches the hanging tree.
As if drawn to you, the faint few spirits of confusion, with their alien, bizarre forms, just by their very nature are almost indefinable and confusing, seem drawn to you and drawn to your confusion. The spirits of death don't seem to notice you, and the hanging tree itself, that ancient, that bizarre, does not seem to notice you. As you take another step forward and you see these reactions and non-reactions, roll me a perception. So wits plus composure.
Sure. Would this be an investigation?
No, this is just, right now, this is raw perception.
Sure. 2 successes.
With 2 successes, you notice a couple of things. There's a scurrying behind you in the tree line, but one that is unwilling to step out from the shadows. Something small, maybe around the size of like a raccoon or something, in the Hysil. And it pops and moves and jitters like it's trying to get your attention. And at the same moment, you see something start to move from within. Not seeing it in the Hysil, but seeing it in the real world start to move from deep within the hanging tree. As if that little hole is actually a tunnel to something much deeper. A human form, but one that is off, that you cannot quite perceive.
Jesse instinctively kind of jumps into a pose ready for a fight, the hairs in the back of his neck standing up. He restrains himself from shifting and keeps his human form, but is ready for a fight.
And as Jesse jumps backwards, the spirits of confusion and the spirits of death start to become agitated as the confusion spirits begin to do what spirits do and consume each other as they grow in strength. Aviva, the open road turns beneath your wheels for miles and miles, and as your bike chugs along into the western part of the state, your mind starts to roll back as you pass a sign for Asheville. As the roads begin to crumble and you leave the highway behind, you pass one of those little memorial sites, like a cross and a bunch of flowers set up on the side of the road where somebody obviously died. And you are reminded of the place that you first came back. Behind you, around you, the ever-present being starts to become agitated the closer and closer you get to, I mean, can you really even call it home at this point? And in your ear, as you pass another one of those memorials, you just hear, as she makes her agitation known.
When it comes to the second memorial, is this a busy road or am I alone?
At this point, you're mostly alone. You've left the high traffic part of the state where people actually go behind, and the closer you get to Asheville, the less and less traffic you've been seeing.
Oh, that being the case, spotting it up ahead, I'll actually pull over, find a spot to stash the motorcycle, and trudge on up to see if there's any identifying details about this memorial. As she's doing so, she's kind of scuffing her boots into the dirt, almost dragging her feet in a silent gesture of communication with that presence, like maybe she doesn't really know why she's doing what she's doing. It's hard to beat up those leather boots more than they're already beat up. And the sheer black tights, they're ripped too. She's got some practical shorts on, a green anorak jacket that's been pretty destroyed, but there's still a couple pins and patches that looks like she picked out a long time ago. Most prominently in the gold jewelry that she wears, there's a Hamsa necklace. Looking up to her face, she has sharp brown eyes, long, stick-straight lashes, and a structured, elegant nose. Black hair, long, really thick, tied out of the way in a low ponytail, especially when she's just been on her motorcycle, all frizzed up from the helmet. Lots of baby hairs around the perimeter. Tan skin, light dusty freckles. Maybe she was wearing makeup at some point, but it's just the remnants of heavily smudged but black liner, mascara, that kind of thing. Maybe even a couple streaks if it got smudged by the helmet coming off. There's a bunch of safety pins jammed through, her second piercings, gauges on her ears, that kind of thing. And she tucks the helmet under her arm as she gets up to the memorial.
The flowers here are old, maybe a couple of weeks. The little memorial plaque there marking the name Marcia Thompson, R.I.P. Very clearly somebody who died in a crash out here. You can see the remnants behind you on the road of skid marks, as if somebody tried to save themselves right at the last minute. But Marcia didn't make it. And looking up, watching next to you, is the pale, desiccated form of the girl in the photo that you're looking at, staring remorsefully at her own grave from the twilight. She doesn't really seem aware of your presence so much at first, but the longer that you're here, the more real she seems to become.
Aviva keeps half an eye on that, but as soon as she spotted the girl, she's got an objective. Looking around, is there a particularly nice rock on the ground? Something small, something that fits real comfortable right in the center of your palm.
Yeah, there's plenty of rocks right along the side. I mean, a lot of it even is just crumbled asphalt. Roads aren't really maintained out here. There are also some natural rocks up by the tree line, places where maybe the hills were blasted out.
Nah, Aviva's looking for a real rock. She's going towards the tree line then. Maybe pick out something with a bit of mica in it, something that crumbles a little too easy, but shines pretty in the light.
It takes a little bit of time, but, you know, there used to be mining towns out in this area. And yeah, there's some still natural, kind of pretty rock out here.
Yeah.
It takes you a minute, you pick one up.
She's pretty good at spotting it. Lift it up, blow the dirt off, rub it on the jacket. That's not going to do any harm. No one will see. And once she has it, strolls back on over and sets it atop the memorial.
As the stone is placed atop the memorial, Marcia, or whatever echo of her remains, starts to fade from view. And behind you, your eternal companion, the presence of the final girl, makes herself known again, stretching out behind you like the elongated silhouette of somebody in headlights just before they're run down, but with chunks missing, as your Geist urges you forward, impatient but not understanding the source of her own impatience.
Yeah. All right. We can get going. And with that, Aviva jams the helmet back on her head, adjusts, turns back to the motorcycle.
It's been a long time since you've seen this sign, but after a short drive later, you see, "Welcome to Asheville." At this point, the sign is rusted. There's bullet holes in it. And somebody went out there at some point and spray painted an S over the H.
That kind of, like, beneath the helmet prompts the ghosts of a smile.
As you enter town, you can see the Starkweather factory off in the distance. You can see some of the familiar places, like June's Diner attached to the old bowling alley. You can see, as you crest the hill, even the vague shapes of where your friends used to live. Off in the distance, your eyes are pulled almost automatically to the swath in the trees where the old rail line used to be, leading out towards that rusted, abandoned engine that used to haul steel and lumber across town.
The smile fades pretty quickly, especially the more personal the memories start to get. You know, at first there's kind of this rough nostalgia a little bit tighter a grip on the handle. And then it just becomes a full body tension. She's seeing old friends' houses. That stiffens her right up, and that pull finds her almost leaning back into the final girl, seeking the presence of her eternal roommate in the same way that she was.
As you enter the streets, the final girl pushes her will forward just a little, and you are forcefully remembering, particularly when your eyes cast over the good value hardware store as you pass it on the street. The sounds of power tools, the whir and the smell of gasoline and blood, and she becomes agitated once more in a way that you have become very familiar with in your time together. And then you pass the hardware store and continue on your drive. And she settles, but there is a familiarity to her impatience, like a memory she can't quite grasp. And you drive on. Lola, you're running. You can feel your pursuers behind you. You can feel the thorns scratching at your very soul. The others, you can't remember their names, or maybe you never knew them, are gone. You look to the left of you and to the right. You can hear the braying of hounds as you flee, desperate towards that one connection that after long, long last gave you the strength to pull yourself home.
Don't look back. Don't look back. Just keep going. Just keep going forward. It's not real. None of it's real. Going back to what's real.
But inside you know that all of it is real.
Too well.
That even the concept of real and unreal has been taken from you. And as you run, your mind casts itself back to when you were gone, back to the things that call you and what you are coming from. And as you do, you find parts of it scattered, because time seems to have no meaning as you're running. You feel the weight of the things that you've put in your pockets, and you can barely remember what it is that you've taken to survive along the way.
Just that I took the things that looked useful, looked the least poisonous, but everything is poison and nothing is poison, and only Mother seems to know the difference, and I can't think of her, can't think of that, can't think of what I'm leaving behind, just have to go.
As you run, the massive walls of thorns seem to encompass you, and every time you are scratched, you lose a little bit more of yourself. Behind you trail the streaming drops of your very life, manifesting as tiny peach blossoms, splattering against the ground like blood from where you tore off parts of yourself to escape.
My wings that she gave me so I could be leashed to her forever, but still have some illusion of freedom, but it's not real freedom. No, but that's coming. I'm going to get to that. I remember his face and him saying my name, and I remembered my name, and I remembered the bracelet on my wrist with her name, and I just know that I can get back to that.
Familiar eyes and the friendships that bound you call you home. You find yourself in a little clearing, a small amber dome nearby, and a voice from inside the thorns calls out to you unseen.
Do you want to know the way home, love?
I can find my own way.
Do you need the path?
I have my own path.
Do you?
You
Then
won't.
what are you doing in this part of the hedge?
I won't be fooled by you. I know where I'm going.
And what is it that draws you home there, love?
None of your business.
But your mind can't help but go there anyways. As little red eyes peer out from the hedge, the rest of the form unseen.
Well, you ever find yourself back in this part of the hedge, you'll just look for old Finsel, will ya? I'm always ready to make a deal if you need to keep yourself one step ahead of the master's leash.
And then the eyes are gone, and it's like you were never in this part of the hedge in the first place. And you can feel that pull ahead of you as you continue rushing forward.
Finsel, maybe Finsel for friend? I don't know. Finsel for friend or foe? I don't know. Just keep going. Just keep running. Just keep going.
And like a light at the end of the tunnel, you can see it, you can feel it, a more certain reality. And as you do, one of the nightmare scenarios that was played for you so often, once when you acted up and were released, or so it appeared, and you see a face peering from just outside the hedge, as if to ready himself to take the first steps within. A face from long ago that was one of the things pulling you home.
No. Don't come in here. Don't come in here. Don't come in here. And she makes her legs move faster. She feels the thorns jamming into her feet, them crawling underneath her fingernails as she claws and thrusts her way through the thorns, trying to keep someone else from coming in.
Give me an athletics check.
Oh, no.
I will let you use either strength or stamina, whichever you choose.
I'm going to go with strength, but they are actually both the same. No successes.
Jesse, the shape is rushing towards you. You cannot see what it is. It is still obscured. It is humanoid, but wrong. Or maybe it's a girl. It's difficult to tell. And it is coming out of that place that says nothing but confusion and death. And you can see the agitation of the hanging tree as something emerges from neither reality nor the Hysil. And it is coming towards you. And you get this feeling like the scent of answers that you got before, but stronger. And if you just take a step or two inside to meet it, despite every instinct telling you not to, then maybe you could learn something.
Jesse has a moment where he thinks about the fact that he's very good friends with a spirit that exists right outside the periphery and taunts you and plays with your fears about what's there. And one of the ways he gained the respect of that little grubbler was he just reached out and grabbed him. The thing under your bed, you just reach down and pull it out into the light. This place doesn't have all of the hallmarks you would expect of a loci. But he's going to try to do a similar force of spirit and will to try to push himself into that space of the tree and grab whatever this spirit is that's taunting him.
It takes almost no will at all, as if the space within the tree wants you to step inside of it. And as you do, what is your current harmony?
It is 7.
Roll me a resolve composure with a -1 die penalty.
Would Indomitable come into play here?
Yes. I will say yes. You will gain 2 dice for this, so with the -1 penalty from your current harmony, you'll gain +1 die.
All right, so here we go. Four successes.
With 4 successes, you shake your head as you go to grab the thing within. something instinctually stops you again. That scent of prey, that scent of answers on the other side, you recognize it, maybe because of your nature, as a trick, as something to lure you in, and you, underneath it, get the sharp scent of fear and desperation. As the thing rushing you is in danger as well, and has nearly escaped. And in that moment of hesitation, Dolores Gardner, scratched and bloody, stumbles out of the hollow within the hanging tree. Which is funny, because you're pretty sure you saw Dolores Gardner having breakfast at June's earlier today.
A big smile kind of cracks his face, but there's obviously kind of a confused expression on his eyes, and he's kind of looking back and forth, like a little bit startled to be seen with somebody out in this part of the woods. Dolores?
She has come out of the hole in the tree and is looking around wildly. After just a moment of, oh, wow, here I am, just kind of drops to her knees and starts crawling over to him. Why are you calling me that?
Well, I mean...
Why were you going in there? Don't ever go in there.
Hey, what the heck are you doing out in the woods? And I called you that because you don't like being called Lola anymore, which is ridiculous. I think Lola's a much better name. But, I mean, hey, far be it from me to tell you what you're called.
Dolores is my grandmother. I'm Lola.
Yeah, I know that, but you got upset and started wanting us to call you Dolores. Look, I'm not here to argue with that. What are you doing in the woods?
That's not me. I'm me. And I haven't been able to be me in a long time. But I'm here now and I can be me and I'm Lola.
Jesse kind of like cautiously looks up at the hanging tree and back down at Lola. Hey, I think you might have wandered into the wrong part of the woods. Let's get you out of here and get you back home.
I didn't wander into the woods. I wandered.
Hey!
I wandered into the dance studio. They told me I was going to be a star.
You've been having a day. It's all right. Let's get you out of here.
You don't believe me.
That's fine. Hey, I get it. Things are confusing. Let's get you back to your fiance.
I have what?
Hey, I get it. Don't worry. They're probably not worried. You guys were having breakfast at the diner earlier today. He's probably just kind of concerned about you, but it's not going to be a big deal.
Jesse, how long have I been gone?
I don't know, like a couple hours? Who knows?
How long have I been gone?
I don't know what you did after you left the diner.
Jesse,
I wasn't at the diner.
Jesse, despite looking the same, despite those familiar amber eyes and that instinctual understanding that this is him, the things that were tying you here and calling you back, the things that give you the strength to escape, looks older. Much older. The Jesse you remember was a 12-year-old boy. The Jesse you see in front of you is in his 20s.
Jesse, how long have I been gone? We were starting high school.
A very concerned look comes over Jesse's face. Again, he looks back up to the tree, and he remembers all of the confusion spirits that he saw in this clearing. He looks back down at Lola. Lola, I think there's a lot of confusion here. I don't think that's your fault, but we should have this conversation elsewhere. Do you trust me for that? And let's go find a phone and give my brother a call. He'll probably give us a ride out of here, okay?
You look over and she is, like, her back is covered in blood. There's no apparent wound, but her back is covered in blood. She has thorns wedged underneath her fingernails. They're bloody and cut, and some are missing. Her feet are a mess, but they were probably a mess before she started undertaking the journey, and her feet are full of thorns and splinters and God knows what.
Jesse has a light a lightweight jacket on. He takes that off and puts it around your shoulders. Here, put this on. Your feet okay?
I have them.
Hey, all right, piggyback ride time. Let's get out of here.
Oh, okay.
He turns around, kind of bends down, and helps her clamber up onto his back.
She's actually pretty good about getting into odd positions on people.
And with that, Jesse, you carry Lola Gardner out of the woods. Dan, it's been a great day so far. You got up early, had a good breakfast, a lot of protein. You went for a run, hit the weights. Is today leg day or arm day?
It's always leg day.
It's always leg day. Got up, worked up a sweat, and now there's no odd jobs to do. The diner's not going to open for a while. The gas station doesn't need you. And also, it's the first weekend in August. You've taken this weekend off every year since you and your friends always used to go out, and nobody really comes anymore. Nobody's been coming for a while, but it's still a tradition, and you've still been going and getting the cabin ready. It was Uncle Hank's cabin, and really you're the caretaker at this point. But right now, on the corner at the gas station, you've got your car parked. You got your bucket of soap. You got your sponges. What's playing on the radio?
You know what? We're just gonna go with Pour Some Sugar on Me because it's
Fuck yes,
it's
do
great.
it. I'll be mad if you don't.
I decided that if I'm working on the cabin, you might as well clean up the car today and wash it down, get it all sparkly and whatnot, and make it look good. If you're looking good, the car's looking good, everything's good. Like, why would you not? This is the perfect way to do a Saturday. So I just started doing that, and I keep chatting with people that come by the gas station. This seems like a lot more than usual. So with my 6'4" frame, shirtless, wearing just my sweatpants from this morning, I am washing my truck out in the gas station lot.
There are definitely more slowdowns. Some of them are just kind of glaring at you, particularly the older folks.
I wave at them.
Some of them are not, and they are very Amber Lautner, who you used to go to high school with. Mm-hmm. Just went on a couple of dates once. Almost hits a telephone pole, and then just sort of drives off, giving you a little weird shy wave out of the corner of her car.
I did move to check in on her, but I think she may have driven away before.
Oh yeah, she didn't hit anything. Right, it was close.
But it was erratic, so I was wanted to check in on her.
Yeah, no, you getting closer to check in on her did not help, and she drives off.
Oh.
And as Pour Some Sugar on Me plays on the radio, you start thinking about, what you're gonna do tonight. Whether or not, how much food you should bring. Whether or not you should bring some beers.
No, the answer is yes to both.
At this point, mostly the only person that comes is Jesse.
Sometimes,
John came to a couple and then just kind of stopped coming once he got weird. Dolores never comes anymore. Yeah. Ever since, honestly, she stopped hanging out with you guys in middle school.
Ever since she started wanting to be called Dolores.
Ever since she started wanting to become Dolores, yeah, she just didn't want to do this anymore.
She's just too cool for school.
And, after that horrible tragedy with Aviva, that's seemed to be the final straw that broke a lot of everybody. That was the last one. Your mind doesn't stay on the sad for too long. Start prepping. Start thinking about what you're going to do.
I think we're going to cut a lot of wood.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
There's no electricity out of the cabin.
Right. Yeah, no. It's a good exercise, too. And, we got to get it stocked up. And, winter's going to be coming soon enough.
You've got a couple of those canisters of diesel fuel for the generator out of the cabin. For nighttime lights and stuff, but...
Just in case.
I
don't really need it.
You do a pretty good job of keeping everything up. And even though everybody stopped coming, this togetherness thing, this really has been important. As you're sort of loading up and getting the cooler and everything in the back, Gary Wallace pulls up in his, little American-made sedan, starts pumping gas, looks over at you, and, hey there, Dan, how you doing?
Oh, how's it going, Gary?
Oh, not too bad, Me and the missus gonna just have a quiet night in tonight.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, well, I no lodge meeting or nothing. Bowling tourney don't start up till next week, so
Yeah, I'll make sure the machines are all good and ready for you guys by the time that happens.
Your brother in RSVP,
I'll bring it up with him.
great, yeah,
I'm sure he'll go. He loves those kind of things.
perfect.
I mean, he loves people and
Yeah, great.
yeah.
You RSVP'd, but you didn't. Did you want chicken, fish, or steak?
all.
Well, no, it's like a one choice. We have to pay for plate.
Can I have 2?
Well, gee there, Dan. That's
Gary, come on. I mean, we've known each other forever. Look at me. I need more than just one plate of protein for like this, and
We'll tell you what. I'm sure we can work something out.
I think so. I
right.
mean, you wouldn't want to see me hungry.
Well, probably not. No. It's yeah. All right, bud. So you a big cooler? Where are you headed?
Oh, I'm going out to the cabin this weekend.
Oh, is that weekend?
It is that weekend.
Oh well, you have fun, okay?
I always.
All righty.
I mean, you have fun.
Will do. I'll say hi.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Hey,
What?
did you give any more thought to? I know you do a lot of odd jobs around town. I could put in a word. We're up in production over at the factory.
Oh, no offense, but I'm not.
We could always use a big, strong guy like you.
I mean, everyone can use a big, strong guy.
I know, but and you're a hard worker. I always see it. I could bring it up with the lodge.
Yeah, I mean, doing stuff around town's great, but I'm not interested in the factory. It's no offense. It's just not my thing.
Well, I got word that it's gonna. They've been saying it for years, but really, I think things are gonna really turn around for Asheville pretty soon. We're gonna need a lot more strong workers, and you get union benefits and everything. Are you sure?
Union what?
Benefits, like health insurance.
Oh. I mean, I'm healthy.
Okay.
I mean, look at me.
Hey, just promise
I
me you'll
flex
give
a
it.
little bit.
Well, I gotta go, Dan.
You take care, Gary. Anytime you need a run, you just gotta hit me up. You're looking.
Well, I always thought I had more of like a runner's body.
I think you could get there.
Yeah, okay. And little Gary gets into his car and drives off.
See you later, Gary.
Wait a second.
This is so much better.
Gary's having some uncomfortable feelings now watching him flex.
He's literally like, hey, you're looking.
Little...
He didn't say anything after that.
I gotta go!
I need to get back to my wife.
His version of the Hulk is Gary. You wouldn't like me when I'm hungry. Don't want to get hungry, Gary. You wouldn't like me when I'm hungry.
It's worse when I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
Got these beers.
Gary drives off. You finish loading up the back. We're about to start heading out to the cabin. It's about that time.
Yeah.
And you hear the, loud engine of a motorcycle. There aren't really a whole lot of motorcycles in town. Most people have either, trucks for heading out into Union Park Woods or hauling stuff, or they just have those little sedans, all American made. And you hear the distinct sound of a Japanese motorcycle.
Sounds a little sickly.
It's like that old growl of a particularly shitty one.
It's got like a minor hitch, so it's just like a little off.
And once the motorcycle comes into view, you see 80s Kasumi Marauder. It's a chipped forest green, maybe a little discolored by time. And there seems to be something familiar. You can't see the face of the woman who's riding it. Maybe the jacket seems familiar? Not sure.
Gary
Just-
waves.
You are not Gary.
You're not Gary.
Gary waves. He's over there. He's behind the bush. He's
Hey.
trying to hide, but
Hey,
fuck it.
Gary, wave.
Sorry. Dan waves, and then he reaches back in the cooler and just grabs a beer Pops it
Aviva,
open.
It's been years. And even though he's grown up, that is unmistakably Dan Swanson.
At first, the wave doesn't really seem to catch the woman's attention. What, you grab one beer and head over? You grab two? What you?
I grab one beer and I lean against the truck because, like, you're sort of familiar, but I don't really. Nobody in town has that kind of motorcycle, and I would know.
And women approach him.
Not just women, thank you very much.
Yeah, Dan wants something very clear. Here. All right.
The discrepancy between us is really we took.
He's not a mere woman kind of guy.
Yeah.
We respectively took after our parents.
Yep.
Obviously, I took after my dad. He took after our mom.
Dan is hetero until horny.
Thank you for that, I guess.
Dan, I can't even spell heterosexual.
Fucking words over here. God, shut up.
Aviva reaches down and she takes the key out. There's a strange hesitation. She almost looks combative in posture, and a lot of options run through her mind all at once. The option that she settles on is hooking her fingers beneath the rim of her helmet and pulling it off, and looking you right in the face.
Dan, you see the face of a dead woman. Aviva was part of the group. She was part of the crew forever ago. The last time that any of you saw her, she had burned alive in a horrific accident. It was news all over town for a while, but here she stands, right in front of you, unburned and alive.
Aviva! I just start moving right towards you. I am still wet and just like bear hug you off the motorcycle and like just like up and down and like swing a bit and just like, oh shit, you got better. I didn't think you really died. I mean, I kind of did, but I was, I never really saw it, and everyone else just said it, so I don't think it's, so you look a lot better than what they said you would look like.
So you come over, right? And
Nobody, no death. Told you.
I knew it.
are you okay, Garrett? Do you need a minute?
I think he's taking his minute.
Okay. So you you come over, and without hesitation, you like envelop her in this hug.
Yeah.
And
Just bare chested.
yeah, and if she was going to say something, the pure raw strength that you have just erases that possibility. I'm pretty sure you're hugging her pretty tightly, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I totally forgot that you're a normal person, so it's
So you get this like flash of an extraordinarily conflicted expression before you start monologuing, where she looks like there's that same defiance. There's this like distraught tone to it. There's absolute confusion, hesitation, but that gets cut off pretty quickly, and eventually, as you kind of keep going, like welcoming and warm, you just feel like a light tap on your shoulder, because it doesn't seem that she's all that able to breathe.
oh shit, I'm sorry. He like puts her down nicely next to the motorcycle and like, your bike needs a fix, but otherwise it's really good to see you.
I wasn't sure if you'd recognize me.
I mean, my memory's not great, but I'm pretty sure I'd remember you.
It's been a long time and a lot happened, and
Yeah, I mean, things happen all the time. Like, that's whatever.
she looks almost, it's a strange gesture. It's not quite like she's looking over her shoulder. It's more like she's looking to her collarbone. It's not really clear why she might be doing that, almost as if she's checking in with herself. But it's such a passing thing before she looks back up and she says, was hoping it would be okay if I came for the first weekend.
Yeah, you're just in time. You need a lift or something, or you want to load your bike in the back there? I'm pretty sure I can get it up back there.
Well, I was thinking about picking up some drinks, and it'd be a lot easier to shove them in the back of a car than try to get them on this bike.
Hey, more drinks the merrier. It's been a little bit quiet there, so like, yeah, we can fucking party. That'd be great.
And there's this, like, pause in her, where she almost seems to want to offer an explanation. But instead of doing that, you just receive this kind of, like, pause to look. And she very awkwardly nods several times, claps you on the shoulder, and just heads on in to see if there's is this the kind of store where there would actually be alcohol? This is New England. That doesn't typically happen, but maybe they've got a couple in the back.
This is not supposed to be the kind of store where they sell alcohol,
Yeah.
but they definitely do.
Oh, that's fine then. Yeah, if it's got that look, like there's a couple like shitty cardboard signs in the window for like what, yeah, then she goes on in and shoves her hands in her pocket as she does, almost like she's still kind of hiding.
So yeah, if you start going into the store, Dan just starts to like maneuver the bike to roll it into the back of his truck.
There's a couple light mutterings, maybe swears. Aviva comes back and she's like, I should have answered you. And she still has that same like distraction. I like to drive. I'll follow you there.
Yeah, sure, whatever you want. Yeah.
And there's almost like a sense of relief, like you accepting that answer gives her a little bit more of that hiding spot.
Yeah, let me slap a shirt on here, and we'll get ready to go out to pick up some other things, and we'll go out there. And you chop wood?
On occasion.
That's good for you.
The word's good for you almost trigger like a little bit of an odd, morbid humor. But she doesn't explain it. She just does that thing where she nods too much again and shoves her hands in her pockets. And she sets her helmet back down on the bike before she heads on in and gets those drinks. It's not too long before she comes back, almost like she was kind of maybe avoiding talking to the cashier or something. Regardless, she'll load the drinks into the back of your car, hop back on her motorcycle, and it's a flicker of hope in the way that she's looking over, ready to follow you out.
I more than likely just like barrel out into town at like ridiculous speeds for no particular reason.
Yep, she matches that energy then. She gets the helmet on, puts the radio up, follows you on out.
John, you get ready for the day, roll out of Ernie's shop, out to your car. You know, if you just open your awareness, if you look around, there is so much that's sometimes hard to shut out. You get out to your car. Where are you headed?
So I am in tune with truth and can, despite having the ability to pierce illusions, I don't really see anything that is of immediate concern, and I really don't want to look at the grand scheme of things right now. So I will toss a change of clothes in the trunk, hop into the driver's seat, and I will use the mirror to apply a little makeup. Realize that I don't really have a ton of places to go.
Just as you're having that realization, putting on the eyeliner, just a bit, there is a knock, knock, knock on the window of the car right next to you.
Startled, I turn.
You see the thing that wears the face of Dolores Gardner, looking in the window and holding an envelope that looks like probably like a wedding invitation.
John? Hi, this is for you.
I kind of,
Can you just drop the window a little bit and I can just slide it in? I'm sorry to disrupt your morning.
he like stares back with these piercing blue eyes and stares with this mix of horror and indignation. And very slowly he reaches out and lowers the driver's side window, Not quite enough for her to reach in, but enough for them to more clearly hear each other. Dolores.
Hi, honey. Here, this is for you.
He reaches out and takes it.
You get a +1. We're really trying to narrow down on who's getting what food. There's been a lot of chicken so far, so if you think you're going to want chicken, definitely get it back sooner rather than later, hon.
You and Garrett are getting married?
Yeah, we're getting hitched in a month.
Didn't you just meet?
Honey, we've been engaged to be engaged since junior year.
Oh my God.
I guess you were busy with lots of stuff. I know we weren't as close as we used to be, but...
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I've been so busy.
Oh, you know what? Everyone's going through their little thing. I don't try to walk in everyone's shoes because I can't understand that much, but I do try to walk next to them.
He like shifts in his seat a little, kind of watching her warily.
Do you think you're going to be bringing a +1?
You never know, but
You
I'm
never
not exactly betting on
know.
it.
You might meet someone there.
I already know everyone in town.
Oh, but we've got some family from out of town that's coming in. So, you could be family soon.
I have to go now.
As Dolores, an unknowable discomfort and panic comes over you. As a sudden realization of what you are returns to you as the thing you replaced comes back into the world.
And her face just her eyes go very, very wide. And she just kind of takes a slow breath. I gotta go call Gary. It was nice to see you, John.
Dolores, is everything all right?
Why wouldn't everything be fine? Let's see you soon, hon.
It's a good question. Wait, no, hold on.
No, I gotta go, Gary. Oh, look, he's calling. Bye, hon. Gary, hi.
And Dolores, you hurry off. Because equally certain is that this is your life. And Gary is going to be your husband. And it doesn't matter what this thing coming back for you thinks. And in the car, John, you see her practically skitter away as something has disrupted the order of what she is for the first time since you've seen her in a very long time.
So, Dolores just lied to me.
Yes.
And I automatically see through that.
Yes.
And with a reach, I can start looking into the truth behind her lie.
Yes, you can.
So I would like to roll to do that.
Okay.
And as she's going, John is going to begin speaking in high speech. And I'm going to create the image of the truth in my mind and conjure it into reality.
Make the roll.
3 successes so far. 4 successes.
1 short of an exceptional. The truth, the reality of what is going on with her, as is conjured in your mind. As with most things when it comes to the arcane, when it comes to the supernal, it's not a simple laying bare of information. There are high speech and magic is all symbols and ideas. You see images of beautiful dance. You see a child's love and attempts at perfection. You see something stolen away and left in its place, unaware of its own lives and its own life. And you see the lie that was just told to you laid bare. The lie is that while she did not know, something happened, and now she is aware of her own nature in a way that no one but you in this town seems to have been.
I'm going to call Gary.
You got his number.
like hem and haw at the phone for a little while before I do it. But yes, then I'm going to call him.
Hey, you got Gary.
Hi, Gary. I just ran into Dolores, and
Oh, did she get you the invitation?
she did.
We weren't sure whether to send it to the shop or to the... So she just decided to bring it down. I know you guys aren't as close as you used to be, but, you know, she there's only so many folks our age left in town, and she just thought it'd be real nice of you to come.
Are you busy tonight? Can you talk?
Can I talk tonight? Yeah. What's with the conspiratorial tone there, fella?
Nothing. It's just about the past, my relationship with Dolores. I've been distant, and I'm sorry.
It's okay. I mean, you know, I had that conversation with Ramona, and she mentioned that, you know, it would be nice to see you out of the party, and you know, she, you know, Dolores just took the idea real quick. Is this because I know you and your mom aren't so close? Is that why?
What does my mother have to do with this?
Well, she said if you fellas used to be so close, and, you know, you haven't been out of the house too much, so... And honestly, I thought it was a great idea. Dolores did too, and so she just wanted to hand deliver that.
Gary, what are your plans for tonight?
Oh, I was just gonna stay in with the missus.
At home?
Yeah, why not? I
All
mean,
right, thanks, and I hang
we-
up. Okay. So I know where she'll be. She might kill Gary, but...
And it's around this time as you're holding your phone in your hand, just kind of thinking the thought she might kill Gary. The phone goes off in your hand, almost startling you. And it's not a number you recognize.
John speaking?
Hey, John, it's Jesse. Is my brother there with you?
No.
Damn. You know I'm busy right now, do you? I need a ride.
Okay, where are you?
I'm over by Union Park. You know that, there's that, like, shitty little, like, convenience store by Union Park?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm also with Dolores. I'm sorry, Lola. I know.
Hold on 1 second. I, like, put my hand over the phone for no reason at all. And I look out the window.
You can see her turning the corner to sort of get the hell away from the area right now. Like, you have eyes on her just as she disappears, as Jesse says that.
Okay.
Jesse, does the
All
church
right,
still
Jesse.
have the lost and found?
What?
Yeah?
Is it far?
I mean, it's just a couple blocks.
Jesse, what's Dolores doing with you? What's going on?
She's had a day. I mean, I don't know. When was the last time you guys hung out?
40, 50 seconds ago. Ignore that. Is there anywhere you can lay low for now until I get to you?
Well, I mean, I feel like Asheville's kind of laying low, period. We're probably going to go to the church, maybe like rifle through some of the bins over there, find some shoes, and, you know.
What? Why?
Well, she doesn't have any.
I feel like you're really slow playing some important information.
Well, I mean, she kind of fell out of a tree in the forest. She seems really confused.
It wasn't a real tree.
Apparently it wasn't a real tree, which actually I'm inclined to believe her on that.
Yeah, me too. Okay, I'm going to get to the church.
Wait. Oh, yeah? All right, we'll
Well,
meet
if that's
you.
where you're going to be, that's where I'm going.
All right, we'll meet you there. You want anything from the convenience store, by the way?
I'll have a Coke.
Got it. Do you want to talk to Lola?
I do. Don't let her drift too far. I'll be there as fast as I can.
Well, I'm just gonna put her on the phone.
She is already walking towards the church.
Oh, never mind. She's heading towards the church. We'll see you. We'll see you there.
See you there.
Phone hangs up.
Set the phone down.
Jesse heads inside the convenience store, grabs a few things, pays for them because he's not that kind of rascal.
Jesse!
And then not really paying attention. He didn't grab anything specific. He just kind of grabbed a few things as best as he could, and then comes running out. Hold on.
Band-Aids.
Band-Aids. I'm sure we can find some at the church. Let's go.
Okay.
Besides, you shouldn't be walking around like that. There's broken glass all over here. Get back on my back.
Okay.
He kind of like gets under and kind of scoops her up and hands her the bag from the convenience store.
She
The Cokes for John. Everything else you can kind of rifle through. I think there's some Twinkies in there.
okay.
Actually, give me one of those Twinkies.
Okay. And so, like, while she's riding on the back of him with the convenience store bag in the front, she just starts unwrapping Twinkies and holds it up for him to take a bite out of.
He does so happily.
All right. And she will feed him the Twinkie as they go.
At the so the church in Asheville is one of those buildings where they pretend it's non-denominational. It's like, it's just a place for worship. Anyone can come here, but it's definitely like all the closets are filled with crucifixes. It's one of those kind of places, where they pretend they're fine, but they pretend they're like, yeah, it's everything, but it's designed like a church. There's definitely there are some bins outside, like the big metal ones where people can just dump their clothes. There's not as much in there as you might think. As a matter of fact, the church itself, or at least the church basement, has been closed for a long time. And then as the two of you get close to go pick some stuff up, can both of you make me a wits composure for perception?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Erika.
Okay. 1 success.
0 successes.
Okay.
Which is unfortunate because I have 6 dice and I exceptionally succeed on 3 successes.
That sucks. Okay, so as the two of you get close, Lola riding on Jesse's back, Jesse, senses kind of dulled with a mouthful of Twinkie.
Yeah.
You manage to find yourself a pair of old boots. They're oversized and they're not great, but for now it's at least better than bare feet. With Jesse's right, there's a lot of broken pavement and broken glass around here. And as you get there and are sort of rummaging around in the bins, from a broken window that looks into the basement of the church, just for a moment, you hear these like chewing, skittering noises.
She kind of abruptly jerks to the side, looking through the window, trying to see if there's anything there that...
Nothing. You can actually see down there. It's a big empty room. It's like one of those church hall places that, they rent out for bingo nights or the high school has the prom there sometimes kind of thing.
Okay.
But no, it's just a big empty room.
Okay.
And the chewing, chittering, skittering noise kind of goes away, but just for a minute.
Okay.
Oh man, look at this. Jesse leans back up out of the bins with a fur jacket that he found. This is definitely coming with me. Puts it on.
It should. It works.
It does in a weird way. Yep.
It's probably at that point Jesse might, with his inimitable fashion sense, might realize that Lola is still wearing the clothes she wore when they last saw each other in the summer between 8th grade and 9th grade. They are torn up, they don't fit, and then on her feet, there are no shoes, but there are twisted and tied filthy satin pink ribbons.
You've had a bad night, huh?
Has it only been one night?
He looks at you with a really deep look of concern.
Can we sit somewhere so I can pull the thorns out of my feet?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Come on, over this way. I think I know where this place keeps their little first aid kit.
As Jesse and Lola attend to her feet and sit down, you find a first aid kit.
I think actually what Jesse's going to do is Jesse is going to, unnoticed, go up into the parts of the church where they actually keep things that people keep an eye on, nab a first aid kit, walk her outside, and go to like a bench nearby and basically kind of sit there attending to her feet while we wait for John to show up.
Absolutely.
And her feet are a mess even without the thorns. She has calluses, blisters, bunions, just real gnarly feet in general.
Sorry, I'm not very good at this.
Do you want me to do it?
Can you reach him?
Yeah, I can reach them. It's not a problem.
and you take care of the superficial wounds left from your flight. John, as you drive across town, it's not a long drive, obviously. You'll get there quickly. One of the things you start to notice, that same itch that you sometimes feel when you wake up. There are natural ley lines of power. There's a natural geometry to the world. Oftentimes in cities, streets are laid out subconsciously along those ley lines.
Right.
You've driven these streets 100 times, and it takes you a second to realize that you took a wrong turn, and that you could have sworn that Imes Street continued on to the church, but it doesn't. It's very easy to backtrack, but you are meticulous about this kind of thing, and if you didn't know any better, you would have sworn this is not how the town always was.
I get some paper out of the glove compartment, and I make a point of noting that down. Actually, I grab one of the little city maps that they offer at town hall, and I'm actually going to go ahead and just mark the change. And I think I'm going to keep the map on me for the time being, just in case this continues on.
The map matches up perfectly to the reality of the streets in front of you.
Right. I'm going to mark what I remember.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And as you're driving, you pass more and more of the Taggert for mayor signs put out around the town. She's running unopposed. She usually does. But there are still so many, because that's the kind of thing, big quotation marks, that you do.
Yeah.
And for a second, as you pass one of them, you could swear it says Castro for mayor. And you look back and it says Taggert for mayor.
Oh, what is she doing? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and note that down too. And get out of the car and kind of pace around, see if I can spot the sign. But if it's the glimpse passed and it's gone, I'm going to pace for a little while and then go back to the
As
car.
you pace, as you look at some of the signs, and it's that same metal on metal jangling of keys noise that is becoming more and more familiar.
Okay.
But there's nothing else to be seen that you can see as of right now.
Once I know there's no changes, but her Nimbus was involved, I'm going to head back to the car and get a move on to the church. Hopefully, these events aren't connected.
And shortly thereafter, you arrive.
I'm going to hustle up the steps, head into the church. When you guys spot me, he's wearing a pair of kind of old and worn skinny jeans at this point. And most of him is covered in this very tight, black hoodie with a zipper. And he still has it pulled up. There's some tufts of curly hair kind of poking out from under the hood, and he is a little more nervous than he probably would normally be, kind of peering around with those bright blue eyes.
So we catch glimpses of him going to the church, and we're actually out on the sidewalk sitting on a bench nearby, so we give him a quick whistle.
John will stop and head on over. Hey, you guys are out in the open.
The two of them are standing on the bench. She's attending to her feet, and Jesse's kind of doing this weird dance shimmy to amuse himself in front of the bench, wearing a big oversized fur jacket and eating some junk food.
Okay, I like the jacket.
Thank you.
You needed to lay low.
This is laying low. We're on
Hey,
the
John.
outskirts of town by the church. No one comes out here.
John, you look at
Lola.
Lola, and with your awareness of truth and delusion, Erika, would you describe what Lola looks like?
Beneath the mask.
What she really looks like?
Lola has skin that is stark white. except for every vein, every little bit of blue or purple on anyone else seems to be just violet purple. And occasionally where the veins disappear, there is a flower blooming, as though it's blooming from her veins. Her warm brown eyes that you might remember are now blooming orange marigolds. Her hair, which was once long, auburn, usually worn in a ballet bun, is now a knot of succulents known as string of pearls that have been naturally or unnaturally made into like an electric blue. On her back, you can see 2 stumps where something like branches once grew. There are little pink flowers that you might recognize as peach blossoms. And all over her, like bloodstains, are the impressions of flower petals.
With your understanding of truth, you also recognize, in a very similar way to how you recognize that Dolores was hiding things, you recognize that Lola, despite her hidden appearance, otherwise is not.
Lola,
Hi.
we have to get you inside somewhere
Why?
to talk.
Well, why don't we have that talk in your car, and you can drive me to where Dan is.
I don't know exactly where Dan is, but I know
What?
where he's headed. So,
I thought you two are hanging out all the time, though.
what? No, he just wants my phone.
Well, that's like all the time, right?
Let's
Why
go.
does he want your
Oh, by the way,
phone?
here's that Coke.
Oh, thank you.
He gives you a Dr. Pepper.
As he hands you the phone and you get ready to go,
Just like cruel world.
as he hands you a Dr. Pepper and you get ready to go, a text message appears on your phone. It just says, "Hey Dan, what you up to?"
Again?
Dan, you drive the truck out of town towards the park, onto a dirt road before it becomes state land, and drive out a mile or 2 into the woods over dirt. Aviva, you follow him on the bike. It's a little bumpy, but not too bad getting out here. And eventually, you arrive to the small 1-story cabin, little covered porch in front of it, big old pile of chopped wood, ready to go, a generator all hooked up.
Wood to be chopped.
Wood to be chopped. I'm sorry, I don't want to rob you of that opportunity.
That's right. It's important.
Very important. And you go to the cabin that you go to every year that used to belong to Hank, and the two of you arrive.
When Aviva gets off her bike and turns to look to the cabin, there's almost like there's something new about it in her eyes, or maybe it's just nostalgia. She's looking it over like she's taking in something that she hasn't seen before.
Dan gets out of the truck with like a duffel bag slung over her shoulder from the back seat and like grabs up the cooler in one hand. He's like, "Come on."
Yeah, and with that, she grabs up the drinks that she bought too and follows on behind.
Basically just drops the duffel off outside the door and along with the cooler, like breaks it open, takes out another beer, looks at her like, "You want one of these?"
She kind of gives the beer like an iffy look and does that sort of like dismissive thank you hand gesture before she reaches into what she bought and pulls out probably like a shandy.
Whatever works.
Thanks though.
So yeah, I'm sure the other people will be by soon. I guess. So what are you doing here?
I kind of had thought through how I might answer that question, and to be real with you, every answer that I thought I had ready kind of sounds like shit at this point.
He Dan looks at you mildly weirdly, like finishes off the can in basically one go, like crumples it on his chest and like Just like
You actually, at that action, get a pretty familiar judgmental look from her that you remember from before. Whenever you do something of that caliber, you would get like this very like dagger like glare that somehow still reads as you know, an expression of friendship rather than total hatred.
And he flicks the can at you then, and with that kind of look, and goes over and picks up the axe. Is like, and like Dan, subtly for himself, is purposely putting his back to you, and like moving some wood around and stuff like that. But like, it's not terribly subtle. He's definitely paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
He's unsubtly testing you to see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But he thinks he's being super subtle about it.
What she does in response to your tests. I feel like this is in my head the kind of cabin with like a slightly raised wooden deck that you could like sit on. Does that feel true?
That is true.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So she goes and she sits at the edge of it, setting her helmet to one side, the drink to another, and kind of like gets comfortable and stares out. Not looking at you either, almost mirroring the behavior, until she finally gets the courage to say, or at least to start, I really didn't think I was coming back here. What happened on your end?
You died by burning?
I guess we're on the same page for that.
So you died by burning?
Yeah. And then...
So what does that make you now? There's a mild threat there.
At the edge of a mild threat, there's that same almost like small tilt of the head as if checking behind her, but not quite. And the expression that comes across Aviva's face doesn't seem entirely for you. It's almost as if she is just making sure to check whether or not there's some kind of reaction.
I mean, how subtle is it, this gesture you're making?
It's a relatively subtle gesture,
So
but
I'm
it
not
depends.
noticing it. Got it.
Oh, no.
Feel free to keep describing, but if it's that subtle, nah.
All the audience can know about it.
Right, exactly. It is bouncing off Dan.
Unknown and unseen to Dan, for a myriad of reasons. The final girl, just beside and behind you. You get this sense of wistful familiarity. Something about the circumstances of being in a cabin in the woods, drinking beers, some like shirtless dude chopping wood. There is something that seems to resonate with her about it. At the threat, however, in his voice, you see her survivor's hackles go up. You can feel the tension in the Geist. And she lets out a low... in question, threat herself, unclear.
Internally, Aviva tries to project a sense of calm. It's a little bit more like a what are we situation.
What? I know what I am.
Aviva just kind of gives you an odd look at that. She, like...
Show off.
What do you mean we? The other question's you. I know what I am. I love it.
Yeah, and that just seems really unnecessary for you to say. She's not entirely sure why you'd point something like that out. Of course, you're a guy. Once she gets the weird look reined back in.
You're also a guy.
Fucking Chaos Goblin.
When there was this moment, and I was burning, and I was so close to being really, really dead in the way that most people die. And I got another choice. So I took it.
Dan, something somewhere in the back of your head bounces around. You're pretty sure Hank, maybe Jesse, told you something about being spirit-ridden. It's
probably a bad thing.
You don't really remember, to be totally honest. But the spirit-ridden, it was definitely bad. It didn't necessarily have to do with death, though. It was just, if spirits, make contact, possess people, it's bad. I don't know. Jesse might know more. Hank definitely knew more.
Dan keeps cutting the wood. He's like, so tell me something only Aviva would know that I would know.
You kept Mr. Bear in your locker. And then when a couple douchebags tried to, what were they pouring through the slots to try to ruin your homework? I think it was bleach, yeah. And it got on him, and you were really pissed.
He takes a second and thunks the axe into the stump where he's cutting off. He's like, he turns, looks at her, he's like, so you did die?
Mostly.
What does that even mean?
You said the others were coming, right?
I mean, they should.
So
It's the day.
I'm betting if they come, this might be a story they might want to hear too. I mean, I'm fucking surprised that you even wanted to talk to me, so they kind of deserve an explanation.
Well, I mean, if you were something else dangerous, you would have attacked by now.
At the words, if you were something dangerous, Aviva is just very quiet, and she takes a long sip of her shandy.
Is that subtle again?
It's a deliberate pause in conversation. Take that as what you will. You got to decide.
Going unnoticed by Dan.
The two of you spend some time in slightly uncomfortable but generally companionable silence.
I teach her how to cut wood.
Okay.
You're probably not dangerous. Here's an axe.
I trust you implicitly. Here's my back and an axe.
Yeah, you know what? She'll participate. She seems like she's got maybe a little bit of experience. Maybe she went.
Would.
What?
I wish a Geist would.
Oh my god! Why did I pause?
Why? You shouldn't have. You shouldn't have.
No, she's had to do some camping or some survival work.
Hey, you're not bad at that.
Thanks. A little eyebrow raise accompanies the thanks.
And the two of you
Basically chit-chat stuff.
continue on and chit-chat for a little while. Dan waiting for everyone to show up. Like for many years, they always don't.
This year they will.
It's mostly Dan chit-chatting and punctuated by just the heavy thunk of the axe till eventually Aviva gives it back.
Eventually, John, Jesse, Lola, you drive in John's rather nice car until eventually, Jesse, you point him on the dirt road. Not that he needs the direction, but just old habits that lead up to Uncle Hank's cabin. The three of you roll through the dark woods. Road's a little rough for BMW, but it's currently a waning crescent. A few days from now will be the new moon. In the headlights, eventually, the small cabin comes into view. Up at the cabin, Dan, Aviva, you see the lights coming before the car pulls into view as a sedan drives up the long dirt road.
Even though Aviva knew it was coming, reflexively, something in the approaching headlights causes her to stand off the porch, just take a few steps back away from the car.
Oh, hey, they're actually coming.
There's a flick of just the eyes towards exactly how much doubt there would have to be for him to say something like that, but she refocuses back on the approaching vehicle.
I think that's John. John hasn't been here in a while.
And she gets very quiet. Somehow more quiet than silent.
Ultra quiet.
Lola, Jesse, John, you roll up, park. You see Dan's truck already parked here. You see Dan with an axe and without a shirt, waving, a beer in his offhand.
He got very big.
You also
I
see
mean, he takes any opportunity to lose that shirt.
a motorcycle parked behind Dan's truck. And after a moment, the three of you see Aviva. Someone who, Lola, you have been missing for a very long time. Someone who, Jesse, was memorialized in town after she died. And John, as you see her face for just a second, you hear whispers, and you see flames, and you hear screams. And that's it. There stands Aviva.
Lola, I'm assuming, is in the back seat. And she just blows the door open and just stumbles out and just charges towards Aviva, just yelling, "V! V!" And she does not give her the opportunity to say anything before tackle hugging her.
In the car, Jesse has gone stiff. And very quietly, "John, what is that?"
Jesse, I don't know if I should stay here. He just gives Jesse this guilt-racked look.
Aviva, while she's being tackle hugged, is only a little bit more prepared than the last time this happened. She's not really hugging back. It's almost like with the previous hug, she had given in to just getting squished. There's a bit more resistance in this one, a little more caginess, but she still doesn't seem willing to reject it. And before you had, gotten her, her eyes had been skimming over the car, what she could see of the faces, and you find the same way that her eyes are lingering on the details of you, like the waves in your hair or just the familiar things that she hasn't seen in a long time.
Aviva, as Lola throws her arms around you, as you take in all those little details, the thing that sticks out to you, and probably no one else would really notice in the same way, is that around Lola's wrist, frayed and old as it may be, is a friendship bracelet, very familiar to you.
Oh, hey, Dolores is here.
Dolores is my grandma. Why is everyone calling me that?
Because you insisted upon it.
No, I didn't.
From within the hug, Aviva's hand kind of snakes free, and just there's a brush of the thumb along the braid of the bracelet, as if almost a little incredulous, like, what's this doing here?
Do you still have yours?
No, I don't. I mean, it's probably if my parents kept my stuff.
Maybe we can make new ones.
The look that you get from that is unsure. The acceptance that you're putting forwards does not seem expected. It doesn't seem... It's like she doesn't really know what to make of you, but she doesn't know what to do with that as a sentiment because she knows she's coming in strange. She doesn't quite know how strange you're coming into this situation.
Lola, after a minute of you not responding as she thought she would, kind of like takes a step back and kind of looks Aviva over. I don't have a supernatural way of seeing people, but I do have a lot of empathy.
To your eyes, to your touch, that's just Aviva. But in your heart, something, you, more than so many people, are familiar with trauma and what it can do to a person.
And in a weird way, like the excitement dims a little bit on Lola's face, and she just looks at you with all the compassion in the world.
That seems to make Aviva uncomfortable, but it's not as if she's not registering it. It's landing. It's landing enough that it kind of makes her pace, not look at you. But again, you're sure that it's any front that's being put forward of it not really being able to crack through is pretty worn down by the fact of the pacing. And she looks over her shoulder, kind of jabs her head at the car. Is that going to be who I think it is?
If you think it's going to be John and Jesse, then yes.
A very sharp couple nods. Are they coming out, or what's their deal?
I didn't ask them. I just kind of saw you and knew I had to get to you.
Oh, I don't know. I'll go figure it out. They're being weird.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, Dolores.
Don't call me that. That's my grandma's name.
You're not going to trick me again.
Again, what? Just call me Lola.
This is... I don't know a lot of things, but these can't keep going back and forth like
I'll put
this.
your hand in a bowl of warm water if you call me anything but Lola.
Good luck.
All right, so Jesse.
So, interesting thing.
Uh-huh.
I just this is actually Garrett speaking. Interesting thing I just read. So it does cost a point of essence to look over into the gauntlet. We can extend any of our senses we want into the gauntlet.
Great.
And we can just do that reflexively. We also see things in the twilight.
Yeah.
Just normally as if they're manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing going on with the Geist with that, right?
No.
Okay. Just making sure about that. So I don't care if you're guilty about this. That's our dead friend.
Yeah.
Standing there in the flesh.
Yep.
And I know of a handful of spirits that can possibly take someone's face like that. But I'm guessing you know quite a few more things about this?
Jesse, I just got here.
Come on, man.
Okay. So, Lola is she's transformed and is hiding. She's hiding what she really looks like, but beneath that mundane surface is something not human. But to be clear, it's also her, more her than I've seen in a long time. And that's really concerning because the Lola we know was never human. And
All right.
so there's two.
Jesse leans forward and
and I'm
kind of
having-
pats you on the chest from the back seat. All right, Jamba Juice, don't get too mixed up. Before we go too further into this, let's go grab a beer and start talking with
Wait,
them.
hold on. But
Yeah, I get it. Things are real weird. But I'm going to need to be a little bit more buzzed. And they're starting to look at us because we're just sitting in here in the car like creeps.
it's my fault Aviva died. And
How's that?
I don't really know what else to say.
I guess you could start with I'm sorry. She's standing there right there, apparently.
Wow. Why are you so well adjusted?
Our
No, that came out wrong. How are you so well adjusted?
Uncle Hank kind of prepared us for a lot of weird stuff. Beer?
I think about this time Dan starts coming down to you guys.
Fuck it. Here comes Dan. Beer.
Jesse pops out of the truck or out of the car.
Dan gives you an over-exaggerated wink and thumbs up and like indicates with his head towards Aviva.
I see you gave her the ocular pat down.
What?
You think things are cool?
Yes.
What is she?
Dead.
Like dead?
I don't know. Mostly dead.
Do you think she's ridden?
No, she didn't try to attack me.
Well, that doesn't mean that she's not ridden.
Doesn't that mean that she would be?
Spirits are clever, dude.
Not that anyone's that I've met.
Well, that's because you probably met dumb spirits.
John just kind of lingers behind the two of you while you talk it out, arms crossed and not really interested in going over there.
I mean,
She had the chance. She didn't attack me, so like, I think it's legit. She knew stuff that a spirit shouldn't know.
that's not true. I'm sure that a spirit could know memories of somebody who died.
No way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think. Right, John?
Jesse, I don't know anything about what you guys are talking about.
He gives you a look like, come on.
Dan also gives you a look like, come on.
Really? I don't know much about spirits.
But you know so much about everything else.
Okay, that doesn't mean I know a bunch about spirits.
Why not?
It's,
Do you need a book? We could probably find you a book.
actually, yeah, a book would probably...
Oh, okay.
As this is happening, the pacing is just getting more and more frenetic.
Lola kind of lets Aviva pace, and she just kind of disappears into a shadow.
So, Lola and Aviva are here.
Yeah, I saw that.
Where did you find Aviva?
She found me. Gas station.
Wait, Lola disappears into a shadow?
Mhm.
Wait a minute. Actually, no, Lola just disappeared. Where did she go?
Oh, I'm right here. And she kind of pops up from next to you.
There is a slight expression of surprise and almost impressed from Jesse. Huh. That's a neat trick.
It's helpful getting out.
Get that.
Okay, so now we're all over here. And...
Aviva, you should just come over here.
Wait, hold on, don't rush her over.
Get out of the car, you creep.
Get out of the car.
Lola calling out does pause the pacing. And is this like... The more observant among you might notice this like sidelong glance to the motorcycle helmet. Like she's kind of just considering using this moment where all of you are over there to just book it. But she doesn't. And she starts the walk over.
Jesse raises a hand up. Stop! Grab some beers.
I was about to ask you the same thing.
Okay.
The hand being held up gets like a little bit of like a head tilt and like a really... before your intent is made clear. And then that's accompanied by like an extraordinary roll of the eyes.
How old are we?
While this question's being asked, Aviva does turn her back and she picks up about as many in each hand, beer and shandy, as she can pick up.
We are old enough to drink,
That hasn't stopped us before.
but that has not stopped us before. How old do you think we are?
Time is very weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
And last time I was here, I was 14. So if you're old enough to drink, I'm old enough to drink, and...
Which means that I get to be here for your first beer.
Do I have to shotgun it?
Do you want to
No.
start the fire?
Okay.
Yeah, I can start the
But
fire.
if you want to,
Yeah,
it would be
let's-
very cool.
Then I'll shotgun the beer.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's right about when Aviva gets to at least Lola and Jesse. Although, John, where are you locationally? You just get out of the car? Or are you like lingering by the
he's
car?
like slinking by the car. And is keeping himself busy by very slowly going to the trunk and popping the trunk and getting out, a bottle of shitty tequila, and he kind of just slowly opens up the bottle of shitty tequila and he takes some gulps, like audible gulps.
John's got
of
the right idea.
Shitty tequila, and is just milking that time as much as possible, and drinking in some unfortunately misguided attempt at building up some courage.
As John is like purposely keeping the car between himself and Aviva, her stance like gets quickly way more confrontational, and she kind of puts out the handfuls of bottles to the other two and like shoves the bottles forwards, expecting them to just like grab one. Do you take one?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
She'll reach out slowly. This is going to be hard to shotgun.
And there's almost like a heel turn towards where John is, but that's probably right about when he has the hood popped and there's like an artificial wall and the tequila's getting chugged. So instead, there's just like an aggravated heel turn back to the porch, and she chugs the rest of her drink. She's not very good at it. It's not the execution that...
Once the bottle is kind of like vertical and like she's starting to kind of on the chug.
Yeah, she's going for it.
Jesse, you can hear there's kind of like a smirk in his voice. So what are you?
That doesn't actually seem to stop her. She commits to the rest of the drink before she pulls back, looks at him, and purposely loud enough that anyone in the area can hear her, says, "I'm dead." And she goes back over to chuck the remainder of the drinks into the cooler.
Shartha?
What the fuck is a Shartha?
Okay, so not that.
I'm going to start the fire. He drains his beer and goes over to start the fire. It's beyond me.
I can help. John raises his hand completely unnecessarily.
So your hand just above the trunk?
Yeah, like he raises his hand. He's still behind the car, and with an audible sigh, he closes the trunk. Okay. I think I can help cobble together some answers. If that's something you're open to. But before any of this goes wherever the hell it's going, Lola, let's all kind of keep together tonight. Just until we have a few things figured out.
Wasn't that the plan?
Yeah, I need that. I'm just asking us if we can just make sure that plan sticks.
I'm not going to go anywhere.
Okay.
I might disappear, but I'll come back.
Okay. And John kind of saunters down towards the fire that Dan's starting.
Dan, you cut way too much wood.
It's for later.
Uh-huh.
It's in storage later. It's going to be winter at some point.
Are these beers a twist off or a pop off?
Which hand did you grab from?
I'm going to say the right hand.
Then you got one of the shandies.
Which is a pop or a twist?
They're usually pop tops, aren't they?
Even roll a die. Evens, it's pop.
Yeah.
Odds, it's twist.
Some important mechanics.
All right, I have a two-sided die. If it comes up the fairy...
Oh my god, you do have a two-sided.
I do.
All right.
If it comes up the fairy, it's a twist. Twist.
All right.
All right, so she...
I can't pop this. Someone have a can opener.
So she twists and starts drinking. Just kind of... Ugh.
Yeah, no, you are used to sweet waters and ambrosia. This
cordials.
And this is a gas station shandy that maybe tastes like grapefruit ?
Thank you, Rebecca. That is totally accurate. Yes.
Rebecca's about this.
I know what I am.
So Lola, I know what you're thinking. It tastes awful. But the fun thing about those is that the more you drink of them, the better they taste.
It's true.
Aviva's gone
More
first.
of you saying the wrong thing doesn't make you more correct.
Where's Aviva?
I think it does.
Aviva, she turned her back to go get another shandy
Say-
after she drained the first
Say
one.
no to drogs. Say yes to us.
I will give you the benefit of the doubt.
Hey.
And I will finish this one, and we will see if I have another one.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Jesse downs his beer.
The fire will be ready in a couple minutes, and at that point, I think
Don't any of you have any honey?
no.
Are there bees?
Actually, hold on for a second. He goes rooting around in the bag from the gas station and pulls out a little Honey Nut Cheerios bar. Like one of those little, like, cereal bars. There we go. Tosses it over to you.
She catches it. All right, we're gonna.
Honey and bees.
All right, this won't taste like real bees.
That's probably for the benefit.
And so she starts just doing like this gas station shandy with the Cheerio bar chaser.
Cool. You know what? It works.
So this whole scenario is kind of weird, huh?
I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, all of us are here the first time in many, many years. After I've done this a few times alone. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
I would have been
Sorry,
here if
Dan.
I could.
Aviva does not look sorry. She's kind of like hearing you say that, and she's already got her posture turned outwards to face the two that haven't greeted her. And as you say, like, you know, you're a little like sassy about the fact that you've had to do this alone. She just crosses her arms, shandy in hand.
I mean, your shoulders are so big. If the weight had to go on anybody, we're glad it's you.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Aviva. He just stops.
It's like a laser focus goes onto you when you say the name.
Why don't we all gather around the fire, closer together?
John sits down by the fire. I don't completely understand the circumstances of you being here, but before we worry about anything like that, it is really nice to see you.
That seems to break through. And even though she was oddly cagey about approaching the fire that was being built, she...
I didn't understand that.
Dan, give me my phone.
Dan, there is a text message for you on that phone.
I reply to that text message.
She that kind of like breaks the aggression in her posture, and she lets her head hang a little bit at you and manages like that succession of nods she was doing earlier. Are there chairs around the fire? Or is it just pulling up a piece of grass?
They're like wooden log benches that have been like stained and maintained.
Every year.
So
So I'll go over to one of these benches and kind of drag it a couple inches further away from the fire, but she's kind of sagging as like she says, yeah, it's nice to see you too.
And as Aviva sits across the fire from you, as you look at her,
If she's sitting across the fire from me, I don't look at her.
Oh, I would do that on purpose, to be fair.
you see her through the flames.
So, looking at John, Jesse kind of gives him a questioning, trusting look of, this is actually Aviva?
Who else would
This
it
is
be?
Aviva. Okay. You said you died, right? You're dead, right? I am doing a thing.
I did say that.
Yes,
said
she did
it-
say that out loud.
Also, that's insulting. I already said it was her.
I am taking a closer look at Aviva.
I said it, but I said it with an edge.
Three.
That's not fair. You're saying
Speck and
most of the
ghosts
Yes.
apply here?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Can't tell the difference anymore.
Should get that. So on some of the rings that John wears, he seemed like with his thumb, he kind of like starts turning some of them in his hands, and is using them, particularly the runes that are inscribed on the rings, as a focus for magic. And John is going to, while where his eyes were previously avoiding looking straight at Aviva through the fire, he kind of looks up with this like unblinking intensity. Okay, 2 successes. Spending 1 mana, and it is going to be my Mana Arcana sight along with Prime. And I'm going to examine Aviva to determine what I can discern about the state of her pattern. Whether or not she's alive, does she have a soul, that sort of thing.
Looking at her with your mage's sight across the fire, you see Aviva is dead. With your death's sight, she is dead. You see, looking at her, that she does not have a soul, but the larger patterns in its place for just a moment across the fire. You see not just Aviva, but the light of the fire extends her shadow out behind her, and for a moment it doesn't appear to be her shadow. It looks like the silhouette of a woman about to be plowed down by a car, caught in the headlights, with chunks violently torn out of it. This thing, this ghost, this powerful specter is bound to Aviva, and Aviva is bound to it. And you watch the reality of her death as you saw it in life. And you see this other thing with Aviva. And you hear the slow and steady trickle of dark, dark water.
As you examine her, Aviva makes full eye contact. She is staring you down, but she's also waiting. She seems to really want that confirmation. Not because she doesn't know the answer, but more that she, as she sat down with this group, it's like she doesn't know how to start if she doesn't get that.
What are you comfortable with me saying?
Say all of it.
Aviva is dead. But the things that are gone, for lack of a better term, a cadaver, has been reconstituted by a fusion, a bond between her and someone else who passed away. And together, they are creating a life.
There's a series of slow but still sharp nods. Aviva confirming his analysis. And she leans forward, setting her elbows on her knees, and starts up to say, and she does actually finally look away from John when she starts. Died. She came to me. I've been calling her the final girl. Feels like a trope that suits her. I don't know. She seemed to be into it. Back then, I didn't know her. I mean, there was something that felt familiar about the way that she approached, but maybe it was just the resonance. She reached out her hand while I was... And you can tell, John, that she's switching words for your sake. It's not very elegantly done. Leaving. She held out her hand and she showed me some images. I guess what she could remember of what it was like to die too. And I felt like this intrinsic knowledge that she was offering me a bargain, something that I could choose to accept or refuse, but I didn't really get what it meant, so I tried to talk to her about it. I don't know if you heard me. I tried telling her my name. I asked her who she was, and she didn't really... she doesn't speak in words. She just kept sending me those images, the images of hospital signs on the road. Things about her death, not really clear, but she just kind of kept her hand out. She kept showing me those images, and she got closer and closer, and I got closer and closer to dying, and she put her hand just outside of my reach, and I just got this feeling like if I took it, like we would become partners. So I took it. Took a chance on making something more out of what had happened. And things got a little weird after that. I guess you guys are taking it really well that I went to the underworld and died, and I'm a little weirded out that you're okay with this, or not okay with this, but you're listening.
Things have been weird in this town for a long time.
You get a questioning look.
You just told me that you died just now. And you told me how you died, but you're still here. I don't want to say that I don't believe you. I have no reason to not trust what John says. But it's a little hard to believe that the person I left alive and still see before me living, somewhere in there, died in such a way.
It's like I'm dead and I'm alive at the same time. I mean, having come back from the water and the underworld and followed my way up, everything feels more now. Tastes are clearer, things are brighter, everything. It's like I actually am attuned to being alive in a way that I wasn't before. But, yeah, I'm dead too. And you can believe that or not believe that. I don't really know why I wasn't planning on coming back. I thought I was gonna start something else, and I didn't want to do this to you guys, so this is stupid, and...
Why do you think it's stupid?
Dying changes you.
Honestly, the most concerning part about all this for me, and I don't know about Dan or John or Lola, is the fact that all this is happening tonight.
All of what?
Well,
I got out.
Something's going on with Lola here. I'm not sure what. But, and I don't mean to offend with this, Lola, but she's acting real strange. I'm not sure she's herself.
Who else would I be?
Like I said, I don't mean to offend. I'm just being honest here.
I don't know, she seems like the same stick in the mud we left.
She's not.
You ride into town, and you're dead. Which, we've seen weirder things, believe it or not. And all this on the weekend when we come out to the cabin. It just seems kind of like auspicious in a weird way.
Faded.
Wait, stop, what?
Faded. Like in the movies. This is a perfect setup for a movie.
He's been doing that lately. Every time something weird happens, he says it faded.
How long have you been doing that?
I don't know.
Maybe
Jesse, how long?
A few weeks.
3 weeks?
John just kind of sits back in his seat,
What?
unpops the tequila.
And there's also been weird smells coming off some of the spirits in town.
Spirits, what?
Yeah, so,
Oh, we're
What?
doing that?
well, I mean, if she's dead and I mean, I talked to John about it.
Different spirits.
Lola seems she's being plagued by a confusion spirit or something like that. I'm not sure what.
No.
But right.
Hey, what the fuck? Because I came back and I was dead and I thought that was going to be a whole thing. So,
I mean, it is a whole thing.
It is.
yeah, but...
Did you
And
want?
she kind of like fixes Jesse with like a purposeful
Hey, look.
look.
I'll tell you more about me if John finally tells us more about him.
I shouldn't do that.
Oh, come on. This again?
Aviva actually goes quiet and ceases giving you the pointed look when you make that offer of a deal for John.
Okay.
Dan seems excited that this is finally going to happen.
So before we go off in all sorts of different directions, Lola, you escaped from where?
I escaped from Mother's home.
As far as I can tell, it's a place in the Asheville where there is a infinite space of thorns.
That's not the Hisil. That's the Hedge.
The what now?
It looks to Aviva. To my understanding, it is the shadow of the living world.
Aviva kind of like scrunches her face like, no, there's already a shadow of the living world.
That's the underworld. Jesse, maybe...
The Asheville is... My uncle put it to me this way. Once upon a time, the world was one. And... You know what? Maybe I'm going too deep there. There are ideas. Concepts. Man, this is really tough.
There's a bunch of weird spirits that live there that do all sorts of bunch of shit stuff, and we
Okay.
either have to kill them or not kill them.
Bingo.
One is a reflection of the living world. The other is a reflection of the dead. The Hisil reflects life.
Wait, what?
There's no crossing through an Avernian gate in order to get to the Hisil.
Oh, man, you've been holding out on me on so much things.
Aviva's just kind of like looking between the four of you as like information bounces from person to person. And when she logs on to John as he starts giving like a more comprehensive explanation, but then Jesse gives the, hey, you've been holding out, and she logs back onto him. She kind of settles in and like an air of more patience than you've seen on her. Kind of like starts like, it's almost like the familiar way that you'd see her settle into study during like your practices or your after school activities. So she kind of like chills out finally at all the confusion.
What is the hedge like?
Thorns.
Thorns.
It's the space between. It's the fence. The hedge is a very, very, very dangerous place that leads to many, many places. Leads to dreams.
There's like a light bulb in John's eyes that goes off.
But it's not meant to let people in. Or out, rather. It's only meant to keep people in. And it's the place between the places like Mother's Realm.
And this is a realm of thought.
Thoughts, dreams, ideas, passions.
So, Dolores, why were you in...
Lola.
Yeah, you haven't gone by that since I was alive.
Well, she's going by it now, so call her it.
That lands. She doesn't have any comeback for you. She just kind of bites her lip, looks down, and, gives you a nod if, yeah, you know what? You got that.
I have never been Dolores.
Who has?
It has.
Yeah.
It's a pile of eggshells and orange peels and just a little bit of sulfur. And Mother brought it to life and stuck it in where I was supposed to fit. So no one would know I was gone.
I'm going to need another beer if we're going to go this deep.
It's not that deep.
Jesse gets up and goes to grab another beer. Anybody else want one?
Yep.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Maybe not a gas station one.
He
It's nothing fancy here.
he goes and grabs beers for everyone, paces around the circle, passing them back out. Definitely taking an opportunity to smell Aviva and kind of like see what his other senses tell him.
Is this visible?
No, I don't think he's that. He's not that over the top about it.
Okay.
Hey, girl.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't like lean in and like your head. No. It's just he kind of walks next to you and kind of like just notices what the scents that you give off are.
Mm-hmm. Well, she smells like her. A little bit more gasoline. A little grimy. But otherwise, she smells like your friend.
So, just trying to piece some of this together. Lola, to my understanding, there is a connection between the astral realms and the space between dreaming people. And within that, a myriad of possible places that are familiar and strange and everything in between. And it's so far what I'm gathering is that years ago now, you went there and now you're back. And I think it's important that you know that the reason that there's so much confusion coming from us, especially referring to Dolores, is because while I don't know exactly what happened, what I do know is that there is a Dolores in town.
Is that what it's calling itself?
That's what it calls itself. And Dolores seems to have thought herself a genuine, mundane, everyday person until today. Something has caused her to become keenly aware of her reality. I don't know what this means. I don't know what she's going to do. But that's why I wanted us to be here so we can talk and figure things out before any reacting happens.
I am also aware of her presence,
Yes,
correct?
you are. Not like mystical, like I know exactly where she is, but
Right.
you are definitely aware as soon as you come out of the hedge that your fetch is there. And it causes you the exact same discomfort as you cause her.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I knew that.
It's a weird Promethean connection there, isn't there?
Honestly, a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, this is a lot.
It's about to be more. John, you want to finally tell us more about how you know all this stuff?
He just reads a lot, doesn't he?
That's what you keep saying.
That's actually a lot to do with how that works.
Everyone has been catching up with the strange journeys their lives have taken. And when last we left, Jesse had looked over at John and asked, "What the hell has been going on with you recently? What's your deal?"
Yeah, John, what the hell's been going on with you recently? What's your deal?
If I'm gonna... I don't think I should say. The last time I tried, something really bad happened. His eyes shift to Aviva, and he gets that, though muted, a look of guilt.
Aviva's eyes kind of lock on him through the fire, and she takes a slow, long sip of her shandy. She doesn't say anything. She just kind of stares him down.
So this is only going to make sense with a lot of leaps of logic. And I want you to know that what I am saying, I mean. To put it simply, the world was meant to be a much bigger place than it is. More complicated, more meaningful. And there are people, I myself became one, whose eyes are open to the rest of the world, the things that can't really be seen or understood anymore. And through that connection, through that understanding, I can manipulate the fabric of reality. In, very minor ways, but more importantly, I can see things and understand them in ways that most people can't.
Is that it?
That's it.
So like your eyes just opened up one day?
Well,
It's not like a bloodline or anything?
no.
Oh,
My
that's really
eyes
disappointing.
are open to magic.
Huh.
Once the word magic's out of your mouth, Aviva actually, kind of stands down. She still remains, I don't know, oddly ready. There's a little bit of that combativeness, but that seems to settle her for whatever reason.
So, what kind of act do you do?
Oh. Okay.
No, Dan, I don't think it's that kind of magic. I think it's like actual magic.
So,
I was
Las Vegas magic?
No. You know what? Yeah, like Las Vegas magic. The
shit.
point was, I thought it was gonna be something more like invasive, or like you got taken over by some kind of like knowledge spirit, or it was a curse on your bloodline or something like that. I mean, eyes open, still cool.
My family's complicated, but not in that way.
Yeah, that's kind of all of us, huh?
Yeah. So, Dan, he pours out his beer.
Why would you do such a thing?
And begins to speak in some sort of strange, almost like heavenly language. And the can begins to transform and change shape until it settles into this like cube of gold. And or a coin, actually, like a golden coin.
Mm.
And he tosses the coin to Dan.
I will, of course, catch it.
Lola, having been
I bite it.
somewhat
It's
twitchy,
gold.
ever since she got the beer in her, watches this and her eyes go wide and she kind of scoots back a little bit, very unsure what this means.
Lola, you made your way from a realm where reality does not work the way it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you as a human being are intended to understand that sort of thing. And you finally reconnected with the group of people to whom you had such a strong bond that you were able to break away from your keeper, drag your soul through the hedge to emerge. And within hours, you're drinking. One of your friends is dead, but sitting here with you. The others are hinting at things that should not be. And then John just, through a little act of will, shaped reality in a way that it should not be shaped. You are suffering a clarity attack.
Mm-hmm.
As the question enters your mind, is this real? Did I even escape? So,
Poor John. Self-fulfilling prophecies, right?
Every time I do this, something bad happens.
So, what is your weird?
1.
Okay. So you're going to roll 1 die. You're going to add 2 more dice for this affecting a close friend or family member as this kind of stuff starts to happen. And I want you to add 1 more die because you are getting drunk for the first time ever, which is also starting to alter your sense of emotions and what's going on. Now, there's not really anything else here. This isn't a particularly resonant, this isn't resonant in any sort of way with how Mother, the porcelain mother, kept you. But I would like you to roll all of those dice and tell me if there are any successes. Remember, success is an 8 up.
There is one success.
Okay. You have a number of clarity health equal to your wits plus composure. You will mark off the leftmost box with just a single line. This is a mild clarity attack. As you're still together, you can still ground yourself in the real, but this is eroding your grasp on what is real and what is not. Those of you who are particularly empathetic or nearby to her see that while the rest of you might react to turning a can to gold with like wonder or even confusion, there is a flicker of uncertainty and fear across Lola's features for just a moment before she sort of is able to strengthen herself.
Sorry.
Is this like real gold?
Yeah, it's real gold.
Can I like spend it somewhere?
If you want.
Awesome.
Well, I mean, you'd probably have to pawn it somewhere, and the only pawn shop in town is your uncle's shop, so, I mean...
I can go to another town. It's gotta be worth like what? Like $100?
Lola kind of holds out her hand for the thing, just wanting to look, touch. Is it real at all?
Dan hesitantly passes it over to you.
She takes it and like immediately like her long elegant fingers are just like memorizing the surface of it. Just
The
how real
only
is this?
thing that is odd about it is that around the coin, the way it kind of catches the campfire light, causes deep shadows. Like there's a resonance of something about it.
When she catches the glimpse of those unusual shadows, she just kind of drops it, just pulls her hands away, and just lets it fall to the dirt.
I will pick up that coin immediately. Put it back in my pocket.
You doing all right, Lola?
Yeah, I'm okay.
You don't feel weird or nothing?
I don't know what feel means yet.
Hey, well, just so you know, this is a weird night for all of us, I think.
Yeah, I am. I didn't think you'd all be here.
Well, I mean, it's the first time in quite a few years that most of these people have been here.
So what was the bad thing that happened last time you talked about this?
Someone I cared about died.
You talking about Aviva?
Aviva looks between the two of you, and she almost shifts back to the aggressive posture, but she can't seem to like really stick it for the moment. She's stuck in a moment of indecision. And as the question of whether it was her or not is brought up, she kind of like bows her head a bit to look over, examining the two before she says, "Yeah, that was me."
Did you explode?
That gets a bit of a sidelong glance. And something about that was not appreciated. But her eyes like slide back to the fire that she's sitting just a bit further away from than the rest of you. And she says, "Not quite, but not that far off either. Did you... John, what was that? Did you, like, figure it out? The thing that did that to me?"
I did. I never found it, but I came to understand what it is.
Whoa. So, if you can just turn cans into gold as a parlor trick, you're telling me that you can also summon things from, like, the other realms?
Not all of them.
And not always on purpose.
And it's still out here?
This, what it is, isn't something from the other realms. It's from outside everything, beyond our known understanding of the cosmos.
Okay.
When the worlds are separated, and there became the world as we know it now, and supernal, everything that lies beyond. A rift opened. And sometimes, from that rift, the abyss, things can exert their will, manifest, act, and in some ways, they are a consequence for hubris, arrogance. And I thought that it was safe to share my truth with Aviva. In doing so, I drew the attention of an akamoth. And it came and it hurt you, and it's my fault.
The Akamoth. Well, no, hang on a sec. And with that, like, assertion that it was your fault, she kind of, like, jams her drink down next to her. She could have just, like, dropped it, but it's, like, stuck a little bit into the soft earth around the fire. And she's kind of pacing almost as if she's going to, like, come right over to you, but she heel turns just quick enough that it's, like, apparent that it's going to be pacing. And after a few back and forth, she looks at you and she's like, yeah, no, the Akamoth thing, it jumped into my body. That doesn't make what it did to me your fault. It did it.
It's my fault that it came. And everything that followed happened because of that.
Some shitbag thing from another dimension came and you're blaming yourself for that?
I showed it how to get here.
No, it fucking came here and it wanted something from you, and that's why it took me over. It took me over to try to put you in a shit spot, and don't call it your fault.
I'm sorry, Aviva.
With the I'm sorry, the pacing ceases to be pacing, and she beelines for you. And there is a one-handed rough shove to one of your shoulders.
Behind Aviva, as she shoves John, the presence, the shadowy, deathly presence of the final girl just raises up in, like, vengeful excitement.
Take it back.
John kind of, like, shifts back when shoved and puts his hands up to kind of, make it clear that he's not going to fight her back.
That actually incurs another shove. 2 hands this time.
I think
Take it back.
I think Dan is going to start getting up and moving to get in between this. Like, hold on.
It's okay, Dan.
Please stop fighting.
He doesn't get to apologize. Something came up and decided that my life was a part of this. And you made the right call. I should have died. So don't you fucking apologize for... What were you gonna do? Were you gonna make a bargain with some shitbag thing that's coming up?
I should have just not told the secret. I should have hidden it. And I should have left you out of my problem And it was arrogant of me to ruin your life.
You didn't ruin my life. The Akamoth ruined my life. That's what took my life from me, not you.
John, she brings up a point. I know that this thing is not something native to what we understand. But I think there's connections. Shartha and spirits of the Hasil, they seek out weak points in the gauntlet to cross over and conduct malice. This entity might have been smart enough just to see you for what you were, a way for it to cross over and conduct malice.
Don't act like you should have known that was gonna happen. How the fuck were you supposed to know that something like that was gonna happen?
It's my responsibility to know before I act.
All right, Dan, how close are you?
I am.
Like at that point when she says that, John's face kind of hardens. Like, no, there is no excuse.
I am definitely.
All right, I think we're rolling initiative. Is that what we're hearing? For initiative, roll 1 die and add your initiative modifier.
That'll be a 24.
Jesus.
Well, okay, Dan.
2 on the die, which will take me to 9.
2 on the die will take me to 6.
I'm at 12.
2 on the die will take me to...
Second page.
Is it on the same page?
Yeah. You're on your forms.
Initiative is Dex plus Composure.
You didn't write it in your forms, did you?
Nope.
Dex plus Composure.
Take me to a 9.
I rolled 19 on the die.
Aviva is fast, but Dan is faster. So, Aviva, go ahead and describe what you're doing, and then Dan, step in and do what you're going to do.
So, depending on when you come in,
If you're going to punch him, because like essentially it sounds like you have to declare what you're moving to do. Yeah.
so theoretically, what she would do if the motion were completed is, what kind of shirt you wearing?
He is wearing a hoodie with like a zipper on the front, and he kind of like has his hood up.
Yeah, so with one hand, the offhand, she'd be grabbing the edge of the hoodie to yank him in, and the other arm looks like it's raising up to press the forearm to press him against, like, basically to shove him up against the tree. Looks like what she's going for.
Essentially, moving through that kind of interactions, I would basically just take your other arm and like force you to essentially grapple / embrace me instead, and like basically just pull you in.
He's gonna bear hug you.
For the second time that day.
Yeah.
The second time that day, you're getting hugged by Dan.
No choice.
Okay, Dan,
Yes.
roll me a Strength plus Brawl minus Aviva's defense.
Cool.
You are taking away 4.
Got it.
Dan, how strong are you?
5.
Okay.
Dummy strong? You're looking for 8s.
That'll be 10 again. That'll be 2 successes.
Okay, so Aviva, you move forward to just jack John up against a tree, and then Dan steps in. I assume what you're doing, Dan, is holding her.
Yes.
Dan steps in, grabs you, reminiscent of the hug he gave you earlier today, and is just holding you back from unleashing your anger on John.
And I will also say, it's also okay for him to feel sad that you died.
He can go ahead and feel sad, but I was supposed to die.
Sure.
Aviva, you, on your action, can try and break out of the grapple Dan's got you in, or we can move out of combat. That is up to you guys.
No, she's trying, unfortunately.
Okay. So then,
I like that the first combat we're getting into, guys, a grapple. Combat always known to be the most difficult part.
okay, then both of you are rolling a contested strength plus brawl.
Nice.
I have 2 9s.
I have 5 successes and I need to reroll 4 dice.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Fucking Dan.
Danimal.
That will be 7 successes.
I need to make it clear, by the way, I've seen all your sheets. Aviva's a fucking fighter, but like, okay, Dan.
And you're in human form, right?
I am.
Just a regular man.
Just a regular Dan.
He's inevitable.
It's the best kind of Dan.
Dan, you hold on to Aviva, and you've been in a lot of scraps, usually against spirits and stuff, but like, Aviva's actually knows what she's doing to like escape from a grapple, to fight someone, but
She does that motion where she like kicks out to throw her weight to get out of your grip. Something that'd be pretty effective, unless.
I feel like instead you end up getting like just slightly picked off, so like there's no weight to shift. You're just in the air partially.
Dan's biceps are not just for show, it turns out.
And there's kind of a glee to the whole deal as things.
Dan, please let her go.
I think she's pretty serious.
I know.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty serious. Dan, what the fuck?
Dan, maybe take a walk with her for just a second.
All right.
What? Hey!
Dan,
No, we're going for a walk.
Dan, put her down, please.
Hold on, we're gonna take a circle.
Why are you so fucking big?
Dan, you're in control of the grapple. Is anybody else doing anything on initiative, or is this just Aviva trying to get out?
I think
Dan?
Jesse definitely has. Jesse has kind of a relaxed, lazy look on his face, knowing that his brother is capable of these kind of things, and is just going to de-escalate while everyone takes a breath.
So Aviva is pretty uselessly, still making her struggle. Like there's like the occasional like kick, but if she's like pretty much fully off the ground, right? How's this?
Yeah, I basically just went into a straight bear hug and I'm just on the ground. So like I've got like at least one of your arms trapped against my body. So
Yeah.
the other one can like try and hit me and stuff like that if you really want. And then
He's like, whatever, if you feel like it.
it could escalate more depending on how that goes. And that is a could be issue, but otherwise he's fairly confident just taking you a walk around the building.
No, she's just trying to wiggle free. She's
Yeah.
not trying to like
Go for
hurt you
damage.
about it.
Yeah.
So
Um,
I'm just going to tell you straight because it wasn't mentioned before. 7 successes, that is more than an exceptional success in
Yeah.
this system. Even taking away her 2, that's 5 over what she got. You have an exceptional success. Aviva, you're basically not getting out of this right now.
Oh, no chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any other like effect for it? Like,
In this one, if you try and get out, you're going to be penalized, basically, at least for the first attempt or so after.
Full Nelson.
Just like, hey, it's fine.
are you just straight up like walking away? Like, what's
Yeah, I'm just
happening?
walking and I'm going to take a walk around the little
Dan.
building and come back.
Dan, can you...
No, don't worry, John, I got it.
Dan, no, I see that. I see that,
He'll be
Dan.
back in a second. He's just taking her to cool off.
I'm not in the mood to cool off. So if you could go ahead and put me down, what the fuck?
I'm going to like shake a little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry, Jesse. What is he supposed to be doing here?
It's a patented Dan technique for helping someone cool off.
Lola kind of just watches this and she's like, Dan kind of has it under control, but I'm not sure Aviva's actually in full control of herself, and I'm debating whether she needs help calming down. So she kind of like, Aviva, you don't get to dictate other people's feelings.
Lola, you can feel the roiling emotions coming off of Aviva. They are intense and potent.
Yum. Do I have to make a roll to like get some of that?
Yes, you can. This is important because I forgot this part of the rule. There is a consequence for her for you sapping emotions,
Okay.
for harvesting her emotions. It's not a huge one, but there is a consequence to other people for you harvesting. So, do you want to harvest these intense emotions?
Do I know what the consequence is as Lola?
Yes, because you are a changeling, you know. I know you just got out of the hedge, but you have a basic understanding. When you harvest other people's emotions, you are actually taking those emotions, which for most individuals drains them of their will.
No, she's not going to do that.
So then you feel the intensity of those emotions coming off of Aviva, and for a second, there's the thought that you could eat, essentially. But she's your friend. And you're right. She's entitled to feel those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Dan and Aviva, as you guys walk out of sight of the others, just walking around the cabin, right?
Lola is following
Okay.
and like looking to talk to Aviva.
So then the three of you walk around. As you walk back, can everybody make me a wits composure for a perception?
Okay.
Are you showing me the mechanics for the Erika ability? Fucking cool.
We're looking for 8 and up.
What do we roll?
8 and up. You, Jesse and John, you guys are still sitting at the fire as he walks around.
Perfect.
I'm like standing, like wiping like dirt off of me because Aviva beat me up, bullied you.
I didn't actually get to beat you up.
You shoved me around.
I have 1.
Okay.
2.
2.
Well, her rolls less than mine.
3.
All right.
Let's go.
I'll tell you when you see it.
Sure.
Sorry.
Go ahead and continue as Dan just physically carries Aviva around the corner of the cabin, and Lola, you get up from the stump and sort of follow after to talk to your friends.
Right, Dan, this is fucking stupid. Just let me go so I can...
Don't call me stupid.
No, you're not stupid. This whole fucking thing is stupid.
Which part?
The part where he thinks he's to blame for making the right choice against some stupid fucking entity that wanted him to sell over his soul or whatever it was.
You
Why
don't
do
get
you-
to bully John, though.
Why do you think you were supposed to die?
Because the other choice was him just giving in to that thing. It was using my life against him.
So you're choosing who gets to make the right choice there.
Yeah, let me die.
Well, I'm not going to do that.
It's a little late.
Again, I guess. Look, I don't know, but we're going to talk about this, and we're not going to have a scuffle unless we all agree to a scuffle. Right? And John doesn't look very agreeable to a scuffle right now.
He looks like he wants to blame himself, and like maybe he wants to be beat up, and maybe if he gets his face punched out a bit, he can realize that's not what should happen.
Well, if John agrees to it, we'll let you beat up his face.
Why are you deciding what's right for people? Why are you deciding he doesn't get to process this on his own?
What process? What?
He feels something. Why are you denying that he's okay to feel that?
Because what he's feeling is just... He's acting like he killed me. He did not kill me.
But he feels like he did.
And he's wrong.
You think he's wrong.
Yeah!
But he doesn't. And I don't think you beating him up is going to convince him otherwise.
I mean, it might.
It's worth a shot.
No, I don't think it is.
He has to agree to it at this point, but I mean, it could. What do you think, John?
Will you put her down?
I'm coming back.
If you put her down, fine, whatever. I agree. I can't even hear what you guys are talking about over there.
So I come back over, essentially like striding back with her, and like,
I don't consent to let you beat up John.
When I'm brought over, I've stopped struggling by that point. And do you actually set me down?
Before he sits you down, Jesse kind of looks up with you with like a big wide grin. You a cucumber now?
She looks pissed.
no, I don't think she is, but
John's just at the fire, like looking at Aviva and like mouthing, like I didn't suggest any of this.
If you're not cool, he's gonna take you for another lap.
There's like within the grapple, there's just that same boiling anger that you can feel, Lola. But
It's like a Ponderosa steakhouse.
but within that emotion, there's no more struggle except for like a little like one-handed vague attempt at a shove to tell Dan to put her down. It's pretty pathetic. I mean, the hold on her is amazing. She has literally no chance. It's just to like express her feeling to be put down.
Look, I don't want to interfere again. Before you strike John, just make sure he's okay with the scuffle, and then we'll be good.
As you guys are walking, coming back around the other side of the building, you pass where the generator is, where you had put those like cans of diesel and stuff for the generator for the weekend. And one of them's Dan. I mean, you filled them up and brought them out here, but one of them's tipped over and looks empty as you walk past, and like you pass that huge ass full stack of wood, and it looks like you guys have already gone through like half of it in the last hour or so. And then you come back around the other side of the building.
Scent-wise, is there a bunch of gasoline poured out somewhere around here?
There is not.
Okay.
Just the vague fumes of like a generator having been run.
I'm deciding how much of that will actually process.
Makes sense. If it does process, Dan, you didn't run the generator yet. You've built the fire. You guys just got here.
Yeah, that's... Lola is definitely hyper aware of
Lola, that makes
this.
sense.
So I will turn Aviva around and put her down to face John.
She kind of like straightens out, but
Dusts her off a little bit.
Dan gets a dirty look for like being comforting in the situation.
I give her a thumbs up in response to her dirty look.
There's a deep sigh that she does not manage to really hold back, and she looks over between. Her eyes kind of flick over to Lola, over to John, over to Lola, over to John. She crosses her arms and looks at John.
John stands up and brushes that last bit of dirt off of him. Okay. I understand the point you're getting at. And I guess what I'm just trying to say is that I know I can't change that it happened, but I wish that it didn't.
But it did happen, and I don't want you to blame yourself.
Whether I blame myself or not, I'm glad you're here.
That seems to break the aggression that she had ready for the situation, and there's a bit of just something bit back, and she does that the tight closing of the eyes, and pulls the crossed arms in closer towards herself, looks away, and nods several times.
Lola is still over by the wood pile.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of like cocking her head, looking at it. Does anyone have a watch?
I have my phone. I take my phone out. And,
What time is it?
look,
It's like 10:30, the time it's supposed to be.
10:30.
But the time you would assume it was, anyways.
Yeah.
This is not a big enough fire to have used all the wood that's missing.
There's firewood missing.
Hey, why'd you run the generator?
What?
The generator, and you, like, do some shit inside?
No, you've been here.
You didn't, like, come here before, or?
No, we brought the gas down there. Why?
Does time work different than it did before I left?
That is a loaded
What?
question, but generally speaking, no, it's the same.
Tell you what, Dan, go check inside the cabin, make sure everything's all right. I'm going to do a quick lap around the perimeter.
All right.
Jesse hops off and kind of skirts out to the outside and just kind of will do a quick lap around the woods just to make sure that we're okay.
Forgetting Asheville is an actual play Chronicles of Darkness podcast set in the fictional New England town of Asheville. Aviva Caradonna was played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Dan Swanson was played by Tim Davis. Jesse Swanson was played by Garrett Gabbey. John Taggert was played by Lex Lopez. Lola Gardner was played by Erika Webb. Your storyteller was Rob Muirhead. Recording and editing by Rebecca Steigelfest. The music used in this episode was by Victoria Borodnova. You can find their music on pixabay.com. Forgetting Asheville uses the 2nd edition Chronicles of Darkness rule sets, including Changeling the Lost, Geist the Sin Eater, Mage the Awakening, Werewolf the Forsaken, and other Chronicles source materials, with a few select house rules. The Chronicles of Darkness are produced by Onyx Path Publishing. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at @PathOfNightPod, on Facebook at facebook.com/PathOfNightPodcast, or email us at pathofnightpodcast@gmail.com. You can help support the show at coffee.com/pathofnight. See you next time, outsiders. I know. I mean, I'm wearing a tie, man. I know.
That makes you the least professional of all of us here.
We said professionals, not prostitutes.
What?
Just for everyone out there in audio land, he is not wearing a tie. He has showed up in a bathrobe and what I'm assuming are sweatpants. It's hard to tell.
They are not. That's just my legs.
They're just gray.
It's very unhealthy.
Also, the rubbing your chest like that does not come across in audio medium, Rob.
You gotta hold your chest closer
I'll do it
to
harder.
the mic.
Hold on.
Why does it sound like that?
I'm not doing the scene.
Now,
All right, Lex, what
he's
is it you're saying?
now he's just rubbing his hand on Tim's shirt
No, he's
because
not.
Tim's wearing a tie.
Tim's like, I'm not participating in this joke.
No.
No.
No, fuck you.
If you picked anyone else, it would have been fine. No.
All right. Are we ready to go?
Protest too much.
Protest spectacular.
Too much.
How did that sound?
Wet. Moist.
Ooh, save these noises for the grubbler.